me. You got a problem with me? Love, you don't want it with me. Man, you won't ever stop me. Who y'all really got a problem with? Who y'all really trying to solve it with? Who don't really like the sound of this? Who come with me getting down to this? You better step back, get your neck cracked, get laid down where you best step. Better check that with a fresh map, get lost now with no extract. Like look, that's all me, got my number, don't call me. We eating up, that's all beef, you freezing up, that's y'all's team. Cause we really lose no more, all about heating up, leaving that cold. You can see me heating up, killing that show. I ain't about giving up, no. Nah, cause they don't want it with me. Look, you got a problem with me. Look, cause y'all don't want it with me. If you start a fire with me, then you never gonna stop me. Ayy, sound the alarm. We about to go on. You getting it wrong. Time to go off. Can't hold us back. Truth hurts, you owe us that. My truth lurks, say y'all collapse. Now scoop first where your homies at. Come my team with me right now. My team's so mean right now. But what you mean y'all out? It's time to weed y'all out. Okay, we coming back with a vengeance. Time to go start your engines. What is this thing y'all mention? Time for y'all stop pretending, Nah, y'all can't do that. Where your crew at? Y'all can't do that. Nah, where your crew at? Love, man, cause now you alone. Yeah, get out of my zone. Man, cause now you alone. Love, get out of my zone. Nah, cause they don't want it with me. Look, you got a problem with me. Look, cause y'all don't want it with me. If you start a fire with me, then you're never gonna stop me. Nah, cause they don't want it with me. Look, you got a problem with me. Look, cause y'all don't want it with me. If you start a fire
Blood, sweat, tears, the components. Riding all year, now's the moment. We are not friends, we are opponents. Yeah, I'm coming for mine. Yeah, I'm making a play, the game on the line. Yeah, I've been on the grind. Yeah, I jump in the spot, I made it my time. Yeah, look in the sky. Yeah, the stars align, no shade to shine. Can't stop it already. Emotional work and devotion, we put in this time. Look.
You won't stop my stride. I'll just break your line. I don't tolerate wasted time. You take us down, keep fighting.
The Snapdragon Pro Series powered by Samsung Galaxy is brought to you by Snapdragon Elite Gaming, Galaxy Z Fold 4, Monster Energy, and Kachi Shop.
And welcome everybody to the Snapdragon Pro Series, where we're going to be bringing you guys some Free Fire action. This is now Phase 2 of the group stage, the second week we're going to be running Phase 2. My name is Victor Cax. Joining me on the desk here is the Musacho. Oh man, it's been a while since we've been casting it, haven't we?
It's been a very, very long time. I'm very happy to shoutcast with you once again. But what I cannot wait to see is exactly which 6 teams makes it through, man. Because we're going to be flying all the way into Jakarta. I think this is one of the biggest Snapdragon Pro Series events I've casted before, and I'm very excited for what's about to happen. But Malaysia, what's it gonna be, man? Is it just gonna be 2 teams that survives in here?
I know, right? I mean, like, we'll break you guys down like how the regions have been performing, but Phase 2 has been nothing short of surprising, really, especially given how different the pace has been since Phase number 1. If you remember, if you've been along with this journey, that Phase 1 was mostly marked by a lot of tight squads, literally dominating everyone else. So now we're actually seeing like the best of the rest, kind of like fighting for the final 6 slots to get Jakarta. So let's break it down a little bit here, what exactly they're fighting for. So this is a prize pool for the full the challenge stage that we're running right now. This includes Phase 1 and Phase 2. Now the top 6 prize pools have top 6 prizes are already fixed now, because we already have 6 teams that qualify at Jakarta. Now we're mostly competing for the second page of that prize pool here, which is the 3,250 all the way down to 1,500. So that's what these Phase 2 teams are really playing for, outside of the fact that they're also vying to be the final 6 teams to make it Jakarta.
Pretty much 13th all the way down to the 18th. That's your consolation prize, because you do get the money, you don't get that flight ticket to fly you into Jakarta though, which is going to be a little bit heartbreaking. Why? Because when we move on over to the 4th and 5th, we're going to have a brand new prize pool to play for. I mean, that's all in the grand finals only, Victor. I mean, you have to be a little excited for that, and this is exactly what they'll be playing for on those days.
Exactly. So even if you just barely qualify to Jakarta, you're already guaranteed $5,000, and it just depends on how well you perform on the main day event itself to really kind of like earn even more money. So that's why everyone is really fighting so hard, especially King of Gamers and MDH. They've been back and forth, you know, like just swapping positions between 6th and 7th a lot during Phase number 2, and that's because like these 2 teams really want to make it to the main event.
Yeah, the MDH, they are going to be the trailblazers today, because we're mainly going to be playing Alpine as well. So that's the map where they usually do excel. Bermuda, only 1 map, so we can expect MDH to make a little bit of a run towards the top 6 today. But let's take, of course, a look at how do you run up the leaderboard. These are the points that will be collected. Every single elimination earns you 1 point. You hit the booyah, you get 12, 9 points for the second place, minus 1 point for each and every single placement down below that. All the way down to the 10th spot though, because the 11th and 12th place gets you nothing, Victor.
Yeah, and we've seen time and time again that some teams that, you know, had successfully gotten not just like maximum kills, but also get the booyah. Sometimes just the next round, they literally leave with 0 points because they finished 11th or 12th. So that's been kind of like the theme, or like the storylines we've been seeing so far in Phase 2, where there's been a lot of inconsistencies. There seem to be some squads that perform really well in particular like situations, maybe even particular maps itself, but then completely drop the ball when the situation doesn't really favor them. So I really want to see how this will all kind of like play out by today, because now we're going to be going to phase number 2. What's very different about phase 2 compared to phase 1 is that there's now 4 maps in rotation here for everyone, and you're talking about the same 12 teams playing for every single round, not like phase 1 where we kind of split them into 3 different groups. So now it's a little bit more like standardized in a sense. You're playing like literally kind of standard Free Fire here, and this is kind of exciting to see, because we're literally talking about some of the top teams here in Southeast Asia. These guys have been so competitive, you know.
Yeah, most definitely, right? And you're not going to be able to see just one team dominating all throughout, because, you know, the same exact team does not excel on every single map. Unless, of course, you're a team like Sem9, who does pretty much decent on every single map. Out there, I think the only map that Sem9 does not excel as well is Alpine, and that's exactly where we can see MDH make a little bit of leeway towards the top 6 here today. But either way, every single map to be played, Purgatory as well as Alpine will be played on a double, because we've got 6 maps in total, so we hit that reset button after map number 4.
Yeah, and then tomorrow, you know, the reputation will be exactly flipped around, because it's going to be more Bermuda and Kalahari that will be played in the pool for tomorrow's matches. So this is the update on the overall standings as it were right now. Sem9, as you said, they seem to be the most dominant right now in this phase, because they have gotten 4 booyahs so far. The only squad to be able to get those 4 booyahs is Sem9. Now, Heavy has also been really leading the charge here for the Vietnamese squads. They're having taken the most for their region, but then it's still about 30 short of Sem9, so it's still looking like Sem9, if they want to be able to overtake Sem9, it really needs Sem9 to kind of drop the ball at some point here before they can actually make the challenge.
That I most definitely do agree with you, but ever since we started the play-ins, Heavy has been bringing on some heavy gameplay out there on the battlefield. They've really climbed up the leaderboard. They didn't really start in the top 3, and now that's exactly where they're hanging. But just a few points ahead of Expand, we know that this is the team that was hailed as the best Malaysian team. They did represent us at the Free Fire World Series as well, but unfortunately for them, they couldn't get past the play-ins. Is that going to be their fate this time round as well? It all does lie in the hands of Vietnam. And of course, slightly towards the bottom here, we've got King of Gamers Club as well, and this was the team that you highlighted earlier on, constantly in the battle between MDH as well as them for this 6th spot here. But I truly do believe today is going to be the day of difference, where MDH manages to kick King of Gamers Club to the right-hand side of the leaderboard and take the top 6. Unless, of course, King of Gamers is, you know, in the mood as well, and Team Flash loses their spot instead.
Yeah, I mean, but the thing is that for King of Gamers, you know, they started off phase 2 on the 2nd page. So for them to already get to that 6th spot, you know they wouldn't want to give it out without a fight, really. So that's what we saw during the last day, for the last day of last week, where King of Gamers and MDH were constantly swapping, you know, between that 6th and 7th spot, always trying to one-up each other. And so far, King of Gamers haven't found a booyah yet, but the consistency of placement points has been absolutely amazing. It's allowed them to climb out of that 2nd page and virtually have an actual outside chance of becoming, you know, the final team to get the final slot to Jakarta.
Yeah, and of course, highlighting a couple of teams here on the right-hand side, Axis Esports and FARANG. I am not so sure exactly how I feel about this. I mean, FARANG, an ex-representative of Malaysia at the Free Fire World Series that happened last year, they got the 9th spot. You know, nothing to shout about with that, but after Free Fire World Series, this team just plunged in performance, and even at the Snapdragon Pro Series now, they're struggling to make it through to the play-ins, and there's a 50-point gap between them and King of Gamers Club, so that's gonna be quite a heavy gap for them to cover all in, I guess, the remaining 3 days of play. But, you know, never say never. It's not too late just yet, Victor.
Yeah, indeed. I mean, again, that's why we still have more days of a competition here, because we really want to give every team like that chance, you know, to get that flight ticket to Jakarta. But, you know, speaking about Axis and FARANG in particular, I mean, this phase has been nothing short of disappointing, really, to see. I mean, I speak that not just as a Malaysian, but knowing, you know, the capability they've shown in past tournaments. So it does raise a question that, for me at least, like, is this now a symptom of, like, you know, other squads having already kind of like expanded upon their own kind of gameplay to the point where, like, now these teams that used to be on the top are now struggling to compete against this new onslaught that's coming against them?
I really don't feel like that is the case, right? I feel like, you know, once you kind of achieve a little bit for yourself, you get a little complacent. That's unfortunately the weakness of Malaysia. If you look at some of these other regions, they are never there's never a day where they're not hungry. You know, in fact, they just get hungrier and hungrier and hungrier every single time they see someone else succeed, every single time they see someone else kind of achieve great heights at great tournaments. They want a piece of that as well. Malaysia kind of has its moments, and then later they feel like, okay, this is enough. I'm gonna chill, because they, even though they kind of bombed out of the Free Fire World Series, that's still the World Series. They still went back home with quite a bit of money in the pocket. So I guess it kind of explains the complacency, but that's exactly where my disappointment stems from. You know, that money, all of those funds could have been put to good use to really raise or elevate the standards of the team, really push Malaysia forward in the whole world of Free Fire. So this is the problem, and it's not just with FARANG. I'm not taking a shot at them. It's every single team from Malaysia that has made it to the World Series have come back and pretty much bombed out. You know, and hopefully that's not the case for Expand though.
So, in any case, that's the beauty of why we have these kind of regional tournaments, you know, to put the best of the best, you know, of different regions together in one spot. And that would not been possible without the support of our sponsors right here. Snapdragon Elite Gaming, their tagline, when winning matters, because they know that win, win, win is what all these squads want to do every single day.
Oh yeah, absolutely, buddy. And of course, if winning matters to you as well, then you know exactly what to look out for. But ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, they are not the only ones that we owe all of this to. But make sure you throw in all of your predictions, because you get to cast your vote in our Twitch chat. Let us know exactly who you think is going to be able to rise up to the top today, because every single day in the play-ins is going to be heavy. And I don't think all of the exact same teams are going to be equally as motivated through the days.
I wonder if you said heavy as a pun, or you make it intentionally?
Pun intended.
Pun intended, yeah. But that's the thing about the Vietnamese squads in phase number 2. Like, they've really stepped up to the plate in this competition now. You know, previously in phase 1, where it's mostly dominated by the Thai squads, because like the level of aggression and the skill that these guys show off when it comes to like the mechanical skills, it's just nothing short of impressive. I mean, Thailand has traditionally been very strong when it comes to shooting games in general. I remember like the CSGO scene in Thai is also just as formidable, you know, so it's not really out the characteristic for the region. But now that we're coming into phase 2 with the Thais out of the way, the Vietnamese are now coming to play.
Yes, and speaking of shooting as well, let's take a quick look at some rapid fire questions that were fired at the players and their hilarious answers.
Superman Pak.
Kekuatan Superman.
Kekuatan Superman.
เอาพลังซูเปอร์แมนดีกว่า
ไอรอนแมน
ผมอยากเป็นซูเปอร์แมน เก่งลิงสีแดงไงพี่เนี่ย
มึงไม่คิดบินไม่คิดอะไรเลยมึงจะเอาเกงในมันเนี่ยนะ
Elon Musk one week.
Elon Musk for a week.
David Beckham
ผมเป็นคนรวยดีกว่า
ได้เป็นเดวิดแบ็คแฮมเป็นเบคแฮมป่ะ
ไม่แค่มันหล่อสัตว์เลย
นิกกี้มินาย
Justin Bieber. Justin Bieber.
Nicki Minaj
พอลกัตตินดีกว่าพี่อีกคนนึงผมไม่รู้จัก
Michael Jackson RPC
ไมเคิลแจ็คสัน
Avicii.
of course Michael Jackson
โอริชี่ดีกว่า
ไมเคิลแจ็คสันครับเกิดไม่ทันอยากดูเขา
ไปกับเมสซี่ครับไปกับเลบอนครับผมไปกับเมสซี่
Play football with Bron James. Skateboard with Messi.
play basket with Messi
อยากเล่นบอลกับเมสซี่ได้ไหมพี่
Tak kenal.
คาราโอเกะมาเดล
เร็วครับ
ไปเต้นดีกว่าครับ เพราะว่านัว
Blackpink.
Blackpink
Blackpink. BTS.
ไม่น่าถามเลยพี่
โอ้
ต้องตอบแบบนี้แล้ว
ใช่ต้องแบ็คพิงค์อยู่แล้ว
Zero
Drop. Bertarung sama Scale O'Neal.
White Shack
Fight the Rock.
ผมก็เอาเดอะล็อกดีกว่าสูสีกัน
bisa semua instrumen musik
Bisa bicara berbagai bahasa.
เข้าใจทุกภาษา
ผมเข้าใจทุกภาษาดีกว่าเข้าใจทุกภาษาครับผมเล่นดนตรี
เขาถามใครเขาถามเนี่ยพี่
Shave your head. Telur botak.
shave my head bald
ยอมหัวร้านนะหัวร้านเท่ได้นะ
เสื้อผมซะ
ไม่ยอมหัวร้านเลยเหรอ
เขาเสื้อผมซะแค่นั้นแหละเป็นแข่งยิงทรงเดียวกันหมดเลย
Honestly, like red underwear versus like a full iron suit.
Uh-huh.
I mean, which one's a better fashion statement, honestly?
I was actually going to ask you, Superman or Iron Man?
Huh. That's a tough one because like if effectively you're asking me if I want like actual superpowers or I just want to be like a super
genius,
capitalist.
yeah.
Super capitalist, basically. So I know I would still say Superman mostly because like
Okay.
at least I would still have that because without the suit, Iron Man is just well. Just a regular ass billionaire. So
A billionaire philanthropist, that's what he is.
well, maybe, but then again, like I can still go in, I can still fly. He has to go and take a private jet, so
He can call Jarvis, bro. He can ask for backup anytime, and he can call not one but multiple suits, and he can control multiple suits at the same time. I don't
Well-
know if he can beat Superman though.
But then, well, yeah, that's the thing. If
Yeah.
Superman versus Iron Man, who actually win? That will be the battle of the century, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly, man. And of course, the decider for some of these teams is, who has the red underwear. Jokes aside, though, as we hop on into Purgatory, flight path going to be cutting through Lumbermill all the way down to Crossroads, and it looks like the whole map is wide open for all of these teams.
The thing is that all these flight paths I've been seeing as of late has always been this symmetrical, so it's really just up to the players to kind of determine where exactly they want to hot drop some of these guys. But so far, they've been playing against each other throughout the entire week.
Yeah.
So what I've seen is like a lot of them are just choosing kind of like to avoid these kind of like first minute sort of engagements. But then again, that high tier loot zone seems to be a very contentious one. I already see 3 squads in total trying to make their way there. Even Heavy is trying to get around the border there. While Flash right now locked in a bit of a battle of anxiety. They've already taken one down. Hawkeye is already out to the lobby now. Another member of Anxiety is still around. Oh, he's caught up. He's also being taken down. Show my from Anxiety. Next one to be sent to the lobby. So Anxiety 2 down already from the get-go.
Shomai ain't showing anything today, and I absolutely hate the strategy by Anxiety. But the exact same strategy is being played by Expand as well. That is the divide and conquer strategy, which, I mean, dude, there's just way too many hungry teams out there, man. They spot you all alone, they are going to snuff you out. The one thing I guess they're taking advantage of is the revival flight that can bring their team members right back in. They've got those vending machines to purchase them back as well. But what happens if you don't get that? Then you kind of bomb out in these rounds a little bit too early. Everybody wants to go to Jakarta, but I guess not everybody is as hungry for that opportunity.
I would think everyone's pretty hungry for that. So, I mean, the thing is that, especially with those guys who are a little bit outside of that 6th slot, they will still want to try to fight for points anyway. Too bad getting a good one with the charge blast on the until Aikal is able to take him down. Now they're going to be 1v1ing on top of the concrete blocks here, and he does take down Jetsubu as well. That's 2 kills already done into Farang here. So it looks like first Raiders are already taking control of this area.
Yeah, and First Raiders are now the kill leaders of this lobby. Heavy just around the corner though, so First Raiders, they better keep their heads down. Inside of this blue loot zone, you are going to be able to get anything and everything that you do want for yourself. So I get exactly where this squad is coming from. Cobra manages to find Rue as well, so that's a good start for him. Immediately puts him down and out of equation. Cobra gets a double for himself, so Expand is off to a fantastic to make that a triple.
Yeah, wow, that's already happening over the other side. But in the meantime, Heavy seems to be wanting to get some attention from First Raiders here. I wonder, is this really advisable here? Because they're really outnumbered, though. They have to play this very carefully. But wow, nice one there from Lolzy, taking him down in spite of the blue wall and the bonfire. But again, Heavy is very outnumbered in this fight. I just wonder whether it was like a good idea, really, to try to poke the Hornets' nets here, especially after they just literally won the fight against Farang.
I know, right? Because I guess they were just a little too caught out there. One player a little too far away from the rest of his team members. He had to take the gunfight because there was nowhere else to run. Barely had any glue walls on him. So understandable strategy. Ice Grenade is just going to tease the player just a little bit as Heavy now just pulls behind that wall. As far as Free Raiders is concerned, they are going to use a revival platform to bring their team member back. That's very gutsy if you ask me.
Well, but this is the thing. Like, if I was in Heavy's position and I knew that I was outnumbered 2 to 4, maybe they should have just camped at the revival point, because they knew that after that fight, first Raiders probably will have some casualties. They will want to have to take there.
Yeah.
And that would be a much better way to ambush them. But Fudai, nevertheless, he still takes a long shot anyway. So
And
I don't know.
that's exactly why I said that was a very ballsy move. I mean, that's a very risky place to go in here for a revival, especially when there is another squad within the vicinity itself. And when you underestimate your opponents, they are going to be able to punish you. And now Free Raiders, they were off to a great start, and Heavy's just going to bring in that heavy firepower. And as many of those eliminations you pick up at the very start, you are going to bite the dust when you underestimate the teams in here. And Heavy, they are going to continue their run towards the top of this leaderboard.
Well, that's the thing. The other two, the other squad member who was earlier kind of like farming just across the river is now joined up with them. So that's already bolstered the number somewhat. They really want to hurt first Raiders here inside this high-tier loot zone, possibly to just take away whatever loot they manage to find at the moment. So this strategy might actually work out for them if they can take full use of this little lull right now, because the high-tier loot zone still falls within that safe zone that's coming up soon. Meanwhile, Anxiety has managed to get themselves back up to full strength, but now looks like VGM is going to be the one to gatekeep them to the next zone.
B Gaming just across the waters from Anxiety. Kanoho has been spotted out already. Long shots will tag him up. The rest of the Anxiety players, I believe, have already swam across the waters, or at the very least in midst of swimming across. So that's going to be quite the unfortunate situation to get caught in, because if V Gaming continues to pressure them in this way, all you need is just another team to come across Anxiety from the other side of this body of water. But it doesn't seem to be the plan of V Gaming. They pull away from that battle. I understand exactly why. I think two of those players barely have any glue walls on them, and Ban, who does have 7 on him, is just way too far to protect the rest.
That's the thing. There's not a lot of cover on that riverbank, so if you don't have enough blue walls, it's not gonna work. And the Dark Law, he almost got kicked out there, but he managed to get the time turner in time. Now Jembal is gonna try to go up against him. This is gonna be a bit of revenge actually coming in from Farang, and Dark Law, he's locked in. There's no way out of this. First Raiders, even though they won against Farang earlier on, Farang came back to serve them revenge in a dish, very, very cold.
And that's exactly why you do not underestimate any teams out there, and you don't really go super crazy at the very start of the matchup in itself. And if you do start any battles, you sure as hell need to finish it off, or else this is the kind of revenge that will be executed against you. But now Farang up against Heavy. This is yet another rematch from the very start of the game.
Well, the thing is that Heavy didn't actually get involved in whatever Farang and First Raiders were doing early on. They only came in after the fact, so they were kind of the third party in that particular fight. But now that the blue tier zone, the loot zone is already kind of cleared out, it's mostly going to be a fight for control here, because this next safe zone is across the river, so they need to try to tie this fight up quickly so that they can make their way to the next zone now, and it doesn't look too good, at least on the Farang side, because they've lost out a lot now. Too bad it's the only person left kind of like running around. I think Jembo has also been taken out, so yeah, they kind of lost that one out.
Yep, Team Flash is the welcoming party for Axis Esports as they try to make their way across the bridge here, but straight into Team Flash. They drive their cars, will be able to find a knock through a couple of shots right after. Greatly stringed combination. Neptune will be able to catch out yet another player who has the Max 7 in hand. He needs to be careful here. He cannot get a little bit too close, or else punishment is just awaiting him around that wall.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like, Flash is now kind of forced to kind of haul back a little bit because they are a bit outnumbered in this fight. But nevertheless, Axis still pushing in straight into the shield. It doesn't quite work out well for them, though. They lost one now. We got another member of Axis caught out here. That's going to be 2 down already. 60 Rap is still trying to fight around the building, but Shin and Bio are just keeping him completely surrounded. And now he's going to come out only to get cut down by Yanbin with the shotgun. Axis Esports out at 10th place.
Team Flash. They waited. They didn't really bait because it was just Axis who were trying their very best to find the next circle. And Team Flash just took it. Those were just free kill points for them. And there's no way they're going to walk away from that one.
I mean, Axis literally runs straight into where Flash was kind of holed up in. So this is really unfortunate for them that they couldn't really fight against them. But then again, Flash has been very impressive when it comes to these team battles. You know, so far in Phase 2, they've really like stepped up to the plate, so to speak. You know, in terms of really outplaying some of these really high-profile teams from other regions. So carrying carrying the flag for Vietnam, very much so there for Team Flash. Well, in the meantime, in the middle of this next safe zone, things are starting to heat up a little bit. We see some squads already congregated around here. Sem9 still holding up around the border right now. They don't want to necessarily get caught up in the fight right now. They are just conserving a lot of energy. I think they're really aiming to try to be part of that final fight in the circle, because this has also been the pattern of Phase 2, where like a lot of teams will try to avoid fighting until they literally get crowded into that like the second to last or like the final circle itself. So that kind of makes it more of like chaotic towards the end. And Sem9 kind of knows this. They know that that's going to likely happen in Phase 2 right now. So that's why they're just hanging around the outside there, taking their steps towards the build gingerly, just waiting for the other teams to take themselves out first, and then only come in when they're still like at full stack, full strength, and the other team is likely still having to kind of lick their wounds.
Yeah, if you notice, that's mostly the strategy of some of these top flight teams. Even Flash, they didn't go hunting. They just waited. They were delivered access on a silver platter, which they more than happily took for themselves. But apart from that, all of these big top flight teams are not going to take a very risky maneuver in some of these initial rounds. Unless, of course, they've got points to waste, then you will see them popping off a little bit earlier. But it's always the better strategy to have those fights in the final circle rather than very early on. I mean, I think First Raiders were the perfect example for why you do not want to get into an early gunfight with anyone out there, regardless if or not you can overpower them in those initial circumstances.
And this brings up another topic that I kind of touched on last week as well, where I kind of feel there's a really big advantage to be the third party in any fight.
Of course.
So, I mean, yeah, that's kind of like a feature, I think, of Battle Royale in general, but I think in Free Fire in particular, this has led to a lot of top teams just opting not to fire the first shot, literally just wanting to let the other teams be the one to actually fight against each other, and then only decide to move in for the attack. And I think this has contributed to a pattern that we're seeing right now in Phase 2, where a lot of the top rung teams, especially those that are already in that top 6 slot right now to go to Jakarta, are just really do not want to take that risk of being the one to get swallowed up by a third party.
Especially when you have the ability to steal away some of these elimination points. You can have two teams going at each other. They get knocks on each other from afar. You as the third party just nick off those kills. Thank you very much for the knock, bro. I'll take that kill point.
Yeah.
Heavy on, unfortunately, will face DEWA. Long shots will make quick work of Die, but he's not the only one who is in trouble. The rest of the heavy squad, I believe, are gonna get stuck outside of the circle if they do not start moving on. And DEWA just playing a little bit too long outside of the circle as well, but we now down on the ground. Heavy will be able to return fire, expand off screen, getting into a battle with the one and only Farang as well, but DEWA getting the better end of this stick. Heavy is stuck in a really tight corner as well as DEWA, and that's not a really good place to be in.
Yeah, in the meantime, you were still talking about Expand versus FARANG. There's also a three-way battle forming up between Sem9, Flash, as well as VGM. It seems like Flash and VGM collided with each other, and Sem9, hearing the gunshots, decided to join in on this party here. And boy, it's the bloodbath of a party right now, because Sem9 is already 2 down, and they're looking not so good right now, my friend.
Sem9 obviously leading the leaderboard at the moment. Them bombing out here might be a little detrimental, but let's see exactly how that works out for the squad. VGM, on the other hand, they have an opportunity to circle around, but outside of the circle, Team Flash continuously tagging them up. Sem9's going to be their saving grace, as they are the distractors for Team Flash. VGM needs to get moving.
Wow, that's really impressive there from VGM, because like they were the ones getting the fight with Flash first, it looked like, from the map earlier on. So the fact they were able to finish off Flash as well, that's really going to help them a lot in the leaderboard, as FARANG gets wiped out from Cobra using that Charge Buster to his advantage in these close quarter fights. And it's really, you really want to have those good shotguns, really, especially within CQCs, even though like we've seen plenty of times where submachine guns can really still provide good damage, but I think reliably you still want to have a big shotgun.
This is a terrible positioning for X-Roy, but as I say that, he is joined by the rest of their players as well. X-Roy out of the equation already. Heavy eliminated as well, and DEWA taking those spot shots at Expand. Are they going to be able to survive this? They need to pick up one player, but thankfully it is KOG, King of Gamers, returning fire towards DEWA, and that is the saving grace for Expand. Expand brings back their players as well so late into the game. That's going to be a game changer, Victor.
Yeah, I mean, they're just spending everything they have in order to be able to stay in this final circle fight, but things are getting so chaotic right now. All the teams getting crowded around the campsite, and even though the containers are providing some reprieve to some of these teams, others are still stuck around the outside. Expands in particular are just facing a lot of trouble. Sem9's last member has just got eliminated. Fikri getting sniped out in the sidelines there, while in the meantime, King of Gamers, they are able to fight against this right here, taking out Bingsu. Now, Expand still on the opposite end of this circle here. King of Gamers also having a full stack here, so they really want to try to control this battle here. VGM has already lost one member, so and they might lose another here as Vantan. Just barely gets away there using the jump pad.
Oh, very smart play, but nobody here to backstab Expand just yet, so they can keep an eye on King of Gamers, but the more smarter idea would be to allow King of Gamers to take this fight against V Gaming and then hop on in for the third-party battle. They are the leaders of this lobby right now with the kills, and here comes Anxiety as well. Initially, I thought they were going to get wiped out super early with their setup, but survivors they are, finally getting into the circle, but they just become the meal of Cobra, who solo stand up.
Wow, Cobra just standing up and fight. The thing is, he's taking a lot of damage now. Throwables are headed his way as King of Gamers is trying to capitalize on this opportunity right now to bring in some kill points for themselves. They've already taken down Shomai, and the glue wall, unfortunately, is keeping them from being able to take pot shots into the rest of Expand. But Anxiety is still not done yet. They're still lurking around. They've got a couple of members just on the edge of the circle now coming in. And then they know that Expand is a little bit hurting right now, but they need to have everyone, all hands on deck right now, because right now the only single member that's still stuck on the front there is going to be facing a lot of pressure. It's now, finally they get onto the Jeep, finally they join in with the rest of the teammates to try to fight against Expand. And King of Gamers now going to watch the back line there, because I think VGM might be moving in as well. And they managed to find the Axel just as he was trying to open up a flank there. Now Expand trying to hold back against Anxiety here, who is trying to swarm their position. Blue wall's already coming out for both ends here, and it looks like Cobra is having a hands full right now trying to keep the rest of Anxiety with at bay, but the one shot from the window is going to take him down.
Yeah, Axel down once again, and all Expand has been doing is just reviving player after player, but now they've run out of time already. Too fast with the double barrel in hand. Quickly secures those skill points before getting taken out. That's just genius play from them. But King of Gamers on the way to the top, and they have to go up against V Gaming. Anxiety out in the third place as well. With 3 players left on the side of V Gaming, this is going to get much more harder as King of Gamers now. All they need to do is just wait for them to step on out and take those shots, Victor.
Yeah, the circle ain't big enough for these two squads right now as VGM tries to overrun the position that King of Gamers has been holding by the containers right now. Is absolute chaos on the field here, but VGM's already lost 2. Vantan is literally the last person standing. He's trying to survive outside on the blue zone, but he doesn't have enough health there in order to survive long enough. But nevertheless, though, this is a good one here for King of Gamers. He actually picked out a booyah there. So now VGM, despite the best efforts, wasn't able to take down these Thai Titans.
This is a very good round for King of Gamers, because remember what I mentioned earlier on, MDH is going to look to catch up on those Alpine maps a little bit later on. We've got a double Alpine going on here today. So with King of Gamers really putting on the distance between themselves as well as MDH, that's kind of like a lifeline for them to make sure they don't lose their 6th spot.
Exactly, and you saw the chaos in that final circle. You're going to be seeing a lot of that right now in Phase 2. We've already experienced a lot of these kind of chaotic fights in last week's matches here, and it's no surprise to see that the same pattern is happening here this weekend. Especially with the point that you made earlier that all the top rung teams right now, they just want to try to suppress the other teams there by really conserving all of their energy towards these chaotic fights right now. But I wonder, in that chaos, who really does thrive under that right now? Because V Gaming Esports, I don't think they have been that successful when it comes to final circle fights. It seems surprising that they were actually the team that ended up getting the booyah, getting almost within an inch of the booyah in this round here.
And I mean, good on them, right? Because they have been struggling in the final parts of all of those matches, but they have not been struggling in terms of picking up those points for themselves to stay in the top 6. That's exactly what you're going to be needing. Continuously finding that final circle, secure those guaranteed points out of placements, and then try your luck with some of these skills. The team that really did surprise me, apart from V Gaming, was actually Anxiety. I don't even know how, where were they surviving, where were they hiding, but in those final moments, they still made it in there.
Well, the thing is that Anxiety, for the most part, in this competition, not just for Phase 2, but even Phase 1 as well, have been struggling to find their footing in this competition. I think they've already reached a point where they really have not much left to lose. So I think they're just taking a little bit more risks now, it looks like, at least for this round. I will have to see for the subsequent rounds. Nevertheless, King of Gamers taking the biggest haul of points here, 28 points in total, and it's off of the back of 16 kills. Most of that likely from that final circle fight. Expand, not too shabby as well. They managed to nail down 11 kills, and that's like because everyone, I think, on that map was literally gunning from them. You know, Anxiety was one of them, and then like Regaming as well was taking pot shots from distance. DEWA United, despite the fact that they were able to get themselves quite close to this next circle here, kind of got cut a bit short. So, but nevertheless, it's still the best performing Indonesian squad right now, at least for this round.
Team Flash can really thank Axis Esports for running into them and giving them those 4 free kills, and that just kind of bounces them up the leaderboard just a tad bit here. The total of 9 points picked up with the 7 eliminations. Placement-wise, they kind of bombed out a little bit too early, so that's a little unfortunate for them. Heavy, not a lot of heavy points this time round, but Anxiety, look at that. This is what we're talking about. Final circle play, just purely placement points gotten this time round. They can barely find a kill, which is a little disappointing for the team. They used to be one of the top flight teams in the past, but now really can barely get anything out there on the battlefield except for those guaranteed placements.
I mean, everyone else has just kind of progressed, and Anxiety is finding it really hard. And I also wanted to point out as well, MDH only bowed out with a single point, where King of Gamers have already gotten 28. So that rivalry between the two of them for the final slot Jakarta is getting even harder now for the Vietnamese squad.
Yeah, and of course, there is a double Alpine here to play that MDH can depend on, but there's also a double Purgatory to play. And King of Gamers Club sure as hell look very, very strong on this map. So we can expect a little bit more from them. But Team Flash is usually the one that really excels at Purgatory. So it was a little unfortunate for the team this time around to not be able to pick up a lot for themselves. Just mainly through those skills.
Yeah, they got pincered because like they were up against VGM, and then Sam9 kind of tried to backdoor them.
Correct.
And I think in that kind of scuffle, like Team Flash ended up being the one like taking too much casualties there, so they couldn't really fight, you know, what they were looking for. Couldn't really fight the way they want to, I think. And I think it's also like emblematic of the thing I was talking about, that third-party advantage is still, you know, the thing that a lot of these teams are trying to play around with. Nevertheless, though, let's see whether or not we'll be able to pick it up in the next round, which is Alpine. But before that, we have to take a short break here to get it set up. So until then, we'll see you guys after this, but don't go away because we'll be right back after these messages.
The Snapdragon Pro Series powered by Samsung Galaxy is brought to you by Snapdragon Elite Gaming, Galaxy Z Fold 4, Monster Energy, and Kachi Shop.
Look at my shine with the glow. This is my time with it though. This is my time to be way at the top. Me and my guys gon' pay out the block. I don't look like boss. Time's right, and I know the sea is walking in a limelight. Promise you gon' wanna watch like a sci-fi. My guys are high risers, high tide. My crown if you come to my side. I pledge allegiance for lifetime. My squad connected like Wi-Fi. We grind and you see the highlights. This my life. It ain't a game now. Me and you, we ain't the same now. Lions coming out to play now. Opposition out the way now. Out of the way. You wasn't invited. Say you come to play. I dare you to try it. You don't wanna try me. Don't step up to my team. Yeah, out of the way. Yeah, yeah. Out of the way. Yeah, yeah. Out of the way. Game now, me and you, we ain't the same now. Lions coming out to play now. Opposition out the way now. Out of the way, you wasn't invited. Say you come to play. I dare you to try it. You don't wanna try me. Don't step up to my team. Yeah, out of the way. Yeah, yeah. Out of the way. Yeah, yeah. Out of the way.
Welcome back to the Snapdragon Pro Series, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, where it is the day of the king of gamers. MDH needs to hustle a little bit more, but thankfully, we head on into Alpine right after this. My name's AJ, I'm the Mustachio, down here with the one and only Victor Cax, bringing you guys the broadcast for the day.
Yeah, it's a heck of an opening, really, that King of Gamers has done, because I was already kind of trying to set up this storyline between them and MDH, but then now that not only gotten the Booyah, but it gotten so many points out of the first round now that I think MDH is going to have a monster of a performance, you know, from this rest of the day before they can actually start challenging King of Gamers for that final Jakarta spot. Let's go have a look at how this affected the overall standings, though. This is where things are going to be kind of spicy, because you remember, not just MDH kind of dropped out a little bit, but even Flash as well suffered massively. And look at that, King of Gamers overtaking them because they already hit 100 kills as well as 105 placement points.
That's such a heavy move up, but Team Heavy doesn't really make a beeline for that #1 spot just yet. Expand did manage to perform decently well, with Sem9 bombing out on the other hand. That just gives Expand a little bit more room to kind of catch up. And all Expand needs is one solid Booyah perhaps in this next game, because they are very well versed at Alpine as well. So that's a probability for this next matchup. But Team Flash dropping that one spot might not be something to worry about just yet, because even though they have dropped that spot, they're just 1.5 points away from KOG, which is nothing at all. But from MDH, look at that distance, Vector.
I know that's been the thing that has kind of worried me about, you know, the competition in phase 2 right now, because the top 6 are getting so heavy in terms of points now that it's becoming increasingly hard as this phase moves on for the teams that are still outside of that top 6 really fight, you know, for a chance to get to Jakarta. So you have the gatekeepers like King of Gamers Club as well as Team Flash right now, who are just way ahead of whoever's in 7th or 8th place right now. Another thing I also want to point out is like I'm kind of surprised that FARANG didn't manage to capitalize too much on this last round here. They haven't really made any progress. In fact, DEWA United has already kind of like pushed themselves up into 8th spot now after having won quite a few battles there, especially against FARANG early on.
Yeah.
And even Access Esports, even though they got kind of wiped out early on by Flash, still is ahead of FARANG at this point.
I think that's just a strategy problem here because FARANG went for revenge rather than focusing on their own capabilities towards the end game. So the moment they came back, what they wanted to do was just take down the team that initially took them down. And what does that give you? A total of 6 points in a game where you could have really won big, right? So I think the blessing in disguise there was for the ability to kind of bring back their team members, but it's all about the decisions that are made. And it's also about the decisions that you make out there on the battlefield of the world as well. If you do want to pick up a good mobile phone for yourselves, I think I know a good brand, Victor.
Yeah, we thank Samsung Galaxy for joining us on this journey here in the Snapdragon Pro Series. Check out their latest phone, this Galaxy Z Fold 4, which is a phone that folds out to give you even more screen real estate. I discussed with Husky about whether or not that actually gives you a competitive advantage, because now you know you got more space to really place all your buttons on the screen now. So
it does. It's just pretty much a mini tablet when you open it up, right? Because the kind of screen size that you do get is pretty much what you have on modern day tablets, which are much bigger. And I absolutely do agree, it gives you a competitive advantage, but I don't think you can use it in competitions just yet.
Yeah, that's a fair point actually. But you know, I mean, if you just want to have a better game experience in general, just a better mobile phone experience in general, go ahead, check out Samsung Galaxy and their Z Fold 4 phone. And we thank them as well for being part of this journey here in the Snapdragon Pro Series. Nevertheless, we're going to be moving on to Alpine right now. This is going to be an exciting one because, like I said, like there are a lot of teams here, MDH in particular, that are usually quite strong on this map right now. So I want to see, after King Gamers have pulled out a massive round here in Purgatory, can MDH do the same here in the map of Alpine?
Well, the top 3 teams at Alpine, it's Team Flash, Expand, as well as MDH. Not a lot of points in terms of difference between them. MDH, a total of 39 points so far in the competition, within the play-ins alone, excuse me. And I think that's going to be exactly what it takes for them to catch up with the rest of them, especially Team Flash. But Team Flash is not too shabby on this map as well.
Well, here's the thing about FARANG here. They're still also going for the high-tier loot zone again, so it just seems like they are prioritizing that early game loot. I wonder which team is going to be the one to crash a party for them, because First Raiders are still keeping the distance somewhat, but you're also Team Flash kind of getting in front of them. And I think First Raiders are also getting tied up a little bit here, because Nero's trying to fight against Souza. Souza already taking a lot of damage here and not really being aggressive against Nero, who also is about a half health. Doesn't have any glue walls nor any health packs in this kit right now, so actually if like Souza is kind of smart, that he could potentially chase him down, but it looks like he has other ideas. In the meantime, Flash, they're going to be the ones to try to crash onto FARANG's party here in the high tier loot zone, because they already have a sniper rifle and they're trying to use it to try to take one down. But Jambal has his glue wall taken down, and he will be the one instead facing elimination to the lobby here, while Flash continues to take control over Snowfall.
And this is exactly what we were talking during the break, right? Victor, you just cannot afford to take some of these early game fights because you barely have any loots on yourself. I mean, if he only had one extra glue wall in that situation, he would have been able to get away. But that Riptide Rhythm tears down his only one, and he gets taken down a little bit too prematurely. Expand, on the other hand, they are taking this fight in Fusion, and V Gaming, I think there is a probability they will be able to smash Expand with the opportunity now to take Axel down as well. Axel, long-range specialist, can't really do much against Virus in this close quarter combat.
Yeah, I think there's only 2 members of Expand I can see right now in Fusion, so I think there's just maybe a scouting party that's been coming out here and just unfortunately ran into this fight between DEWA United and V Gaming Esports. So right now, DEWA is still having a full stack. They haven't really sustained too much damage from this fight against VGM so far. VGM, though, they're holed up inside the building, and that's given them a lot of advantage, really, in these fights, because it means they have plenty of cover, whereas DEWA has a fight from the outside. wonder how I want to try to approach this, because the thing is, the save zone is literally right next door, so they don't necessarily have to be that aggressive. In fact, they can try to bypass this if they want to, but it feels like DEWA still wants to go for a fight. They still want to try to gatekeep VGM, who they know is also in that like first page of the overall results right now. They can actually deal a blow against this team here. This could actually bode well for the chances to actually make it to their own hometown in Jakarta.
Oh, smart play by Ban, but the time turner will save Rain. Great ring around the rosy around the time turner. Rain has to go in for the chase, and what a timing! Chad just sprays him down with a vector, and that's exactly how you play around the house. And Rain just couldn't make much use of the time turner anymore since he expanded it on the stairs already. But you know, going back to expand and their very, very early wipeout of 2 players moments ago, this is the main reason why I hate it when they spread out very, very early on in these matches. But we're going to take a quick short break from that match and hop on right back so you can see our handsome faces, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. Looks like we have a tad bit of an issue with the display of that lobby, but we will hop on right back into that matchup. Continuing what I was saying, remember game 1, expand, spreading all out onto the map. Yes, you get to kind of get a little bit more loots, but you also lose a lot of firepower. You don't have a lot of backup. You don't have your team members there to trade you out whenever you do get dropped onto the ground. And yes, the team members who have spread out into the other parts of the map can revive you, but you get revived with just a secondary. And you have to start that looting process all over again. And in a lobby with so many titans, good luck to you with that secondary.
Yeah, so, but I think like for a lot of squads that decide to take that route, I think it's more of like a calculated risk for them, because they know that if they do actually win those fights, that means they not only benefit off of like getting the extra kill points, but at the same time they will be just be able to take whatever loot, you know, that squad itself already has on hand, and that already, you know, negates the need for them to go and continue their farming process. So it's really that high risk versus high reward, and I think like what we're going to likely to see is that the teams that are still kind of struggling in that second page of the results right now are more likely to take this strategy here, because what else do they have to lose? Because after this phase here, if they don't make it to Jakarta, that's it. Their journey literally stops right here. So whatever kind of like extra kind of points they can get, plus the extra loot they will have, like, you know, the better loot you have, the more chances you'll be able to win out a lot of these like late game fights. So I think that's kind of like a calculus that these teams are just really taking. But again, the risk, of course, is that if you lose that fight, that means you're just essentially going to be very much behind when it comes to the rest of the round.
Yeah, you played a fantastic devil's advocate there, because you brought up an excellent point, right? I mean, high risk, high reward if you do win out those rounds. And I guess the position that Expand is in the overall grand scheme of things is on the left-hand side of the leaderboard. They are, in fact, on second spot, so there's nothing much to lose in that whole situation. Because I remember in one of the interviews, they did mention that they're trying out a lot of new strategies, a lot of new metas that they are trying to execute out there on the battlefield. They don't know exactly what works, but they want to be well prepared before they move on to Jakarta. I love the confidence. I definitely love the confidence. But I hope they do find that strategy and we don't see a lot of these risky maneuvers down in Jakarta anymore, because then it's pretty much going to be a World Series sort of a run once again.
I mean, fair enough. Though I think like if there's a team that is still feeling that confident that would definitely be in Jakarta, I would be surprised as well to see them also still use those risky strategies on the world stage anyway. So, but nevertheless, though, I think when it comes to this this competition here in particular, when we want to see how these different regions interact with each other, and now that, you know, there's new elements brought into the game, it really makes sense for them to want to test these things out before the main event. So because like we've got new stuff like the grapple gun, for example, that's been a huge game changer, especially for maps like Kalahari, you know, where now with the grapple gun, you have a much faster way of like rapidly repositioning yourself, you know, and that's kind of thrown a lot of like typical fights that you'll see in Kalahari kind of out of the window now, because you have to now consider the fact that your team, if the enemy team has grapple guns in their kit, that's going to make it more likely for them to actually get the jump on you now. So nevertheless, we're back into the match now. We're going to be seeing First Radius up against MDH at the moment. We still have 12 teams still running here, so good to see that we didn't miss miss out any major action yet. But here's certainly some big action right now. It's Aikal tries to fight against I Don't Cry. He tried to put out a time turner, didn't manage to survive that onslaught though. First Raiders managed to take him out quite handily there, but that's only a trade right now in his fight against MDH. In the meantime, Expand currently in the firefight against Flash, who are just fighting from them in the open field. There's still plenty of glue walls to go around, but unfortunately it seems like Expand has been caught completely off guard, even too fast, has gotten himself shotgunned out of this map right now. VGM was close by, but he decided, yeah, I'm not going to be touching that with a 10-foot pole.
Yeah, Excel's got an opportunity to bring the rest of his team members right back. That's just once again highlighting the weakness of spreading out on the battlefield. But I guess you do get to play for placement points for sure, instead of playing those kill points with the ability to take some of these gunfights very openly. VGM, as they continue to rotate around, they will come across Sem9 if this vehicle goes up in flames. In fact, two of these vehicles, they're going to be in a lot of trouble, and that's exactly what Sem9 is looking to do. And Zen OP does manage to catch that out in the open, puts him down onto the ground with the AWM.
See, that's a problem when you have a big, loud sports car. Everyone is going to be able to hear you at the moment you pass by. And King of Gamers is taking this big opportunity right now to get VGM completely held up here at Sunnyside. We also see Expand actually making a jump close by. I think they're also going to be joining in on the fight with NDH just up north. But right now, King of Gamers already saying throwables out. They already got to the attention of yet another squad here, which is Sem9, who are coming up the hill where King of Gamers is currently camped at. So they already sent out a bit of a warning signal right now not to get too close to the solar arrays, but is Sem9 going to be getting that message anytime soon? In the meantime, plenty of freeze grenades being sent out here in this fight between Axis and DEWA United, and plenty of glue walls making a huge labyrinth right now out in this open field as they continue to pile on and just burn whatever glue walls they still have in the kit. They are still getting the kills though. Axis taking down Rens and now trying to take out one of the stragglers, attempting to run away right now. He brought out a time turner. He's trying to hide behind a tree. Can he survive though? Looks like Axis is going to be continuing to move in on his position right now. He has to get the heck out of there. Rain still alive for now, but now he's taking damage from both fronts, and he's got a blue zone coming in around him, enveloping him completely. I don't think he's going to be long with this world. That little grenade brought in, the second one brought in. Oh man, literally all of fate is just raining upon Rain right now.
Yeah, somebody's having a bad day out there. He's trying to top his health right back up, but the blue zone's going to make sure it continues to chip away at him. Exact trying to get that one shot, and he does secure that kill as well. DEWA United, they bite that dust super early on because they couldn't reposition in time. Axis Esports, on the other hand, just playing with the very edge of the circle. Nothing much to fear though, because the only team, Sem9, is quite a distance away from them.
Yep, now things are coming to full circle now, given that all the teams are gathering around this Sunside, which is the next safe zone. We already had King of Gamers set up on the highest point on that on this next safe zone itself, so they're going to be the ones with the slight advantage, but they have to watch out for FARANG, who will be probably coming up to them from base camp side. If Heavy as well will probably also come in from the south eastern side. In the meantime, Sem9 trying to gatekeep Axis from being able to make their way to this next safe zone, and Axis right now, they only have some rocks and trees really for cover, as one member of Sem9, Zen OP, is right up against the boulder that's kind of separating both Sem9 and Axis right now, trying to find an opening. But in the meantime, Axis 666 Rap already sending some grenades down that way, and Raja is already forced to bring out his blue wall, and Flame 7 now joining up here to try to bring 666 Rap back into the fight. Well, Zen OP, he actually has an opening. He doesn't quite spot though. He doesn't quite spot him on top of the boulder. Instead, he's actually being distracted by Neptune on the ground there, forcing him to try to rotate around. Now Sem9 tries to take control over the boulder right now with Raja right on top, but can they get the knockdowns they're looking for right now? Axis taking a lot of damage, but still not able to return that much onto Sem9 until at least they manage to take out Zen OP. But unfortunately, Newbie and Raja both too strong, too fast here for Axis. They take them out.
Yep, Zen is going to be able to top his health right back up here, but outside of the circle, very far away. Thank the good Lord, they've got that launch pad. They launched themselves right back into the circle, so not a lot of damage to be sustained here by the players of Sem9. But the question is, where are they going to land once they launch themselves right back in? We will have to catch up with them in a little bit. Anxiety, on the other hand, with Gotobi just beyond the horizon. Circle catching up with them, forces them to quickly reposition, but that also causes a lot of heavy panic. Thankfully, they do have a vehicle here. They're going to allow Shomal to just unfortunately bleed out, get shot down. The kill is retrieved by Team Heavy. That's the very first kill point that they're getting for themselves. And Buffalo outside of the circle, he's not going to get saved anytime soon. They're very, very busy with this gunfight, Victor.
I mean, anxiety, out of the frying pan into the literal fire itself, because there's so many squads just kind of littered all over this next circle here that no matter where you go, you're bound to get shot at by someone eventually. Heavy, though, going to be focusing on VGM here. They'll match takedown 1 in terms of Kudai. Sem9 in the meantime also putting in some hurt on the other end, because King of Gamers have been sitting on their laurels a little bit too long. Now it's going to be Sem9 is going to try to challenge them, while they are also attempting at the same time to get some shots onto Team Heavy, who are right now locked in battle here with anxiety. So can they fight a war on two fronts right now? This is going to be a big question. Knight 7 is definitely being given a lot of space right now for the rest of the team, continuing to try to hold Sem9 at bay. The solar arrays does provide plenty of cover, actually. The Oscar is attempting to try to take advantage of Fudai. Just goes straight into the cabin. The anxiety was holed up and loses his life as a result. And Heavy actually getting taken out by anxiety there, with a couple of members already sent back to the lobby.
All out chaos now as that circle continues to pressure everybody. It's moving a little bit fast at this point. Anxiety, they don't have anywhere to run. They have to kind of react now at the situation, but they choose to take the gunfight instead of getting away, and they pay for it as First Raiders raids their defensive spot and takes those kill points. And now their First Raiders need to move instantaneously or else get caught out by that circle as well. And King of Gamers will take advantage of the repositioning squad.
Yep, they're all trying to gather around this cabin now. Lolzy is going to be up in front here. King of Gamers are held up inside the house. They know that as well. Glue walls already set up on the doors as well as windows, trying to keep them out. In the meantime, X-Roy takes out the last member of FARANG Spade just on the outside. So there's already FARANG being sent out in 9th place. And now it's a bit of a bloodbath on the outside as First Raiders gets himself completely cut down as they attempted to siege King of Gamers, but they were having none of it right now. Sem9 is going to be the next one to step up to the doorway, seeing if they can actually capitalize on this. On King of Gamers being a little bit weak, and they do get a couple of kills here. Heavy in the meantime getting taken out by a nice little grenade launcher from Too Fast, while Osaka is still trying to keep the fight going here for King of Gamers against Sem9. They already got one down. Can they get another one? Yes, they do. Now they're going to be going straight against the other two remaining members of Sem9, while looks like Newbie is going to try to clean up the lawn here. But right now, he's going to get the one taking the brunt of the damage there from Oscar77. The last member still standing here for King of Gamers, but it's still one more member of Sem9. They have, one more member of Sem9 to still watch out from the outside. He's going to try to get a revive. He gets a revive in time. Oscar, he's going to try to react quickly, but then he's outside. He's exposed. The glue wall's going to be broken down, and King of Gamers get knocked out in 6th place.
Yeah, one of the miscalculated moves there, Fly King of Gamers. He hopped on out thinking he could get that kill, but the revival by Sem9 was just a little bit too quick. The guy gets picked up, but on the other side, Expand still going ham against all of these other teams. Team Flash holding on for their dear lives. Now they hop on outside of the watchtower to approach V Gamers, but Sem9 down at the bottom. They have got their eyes on everybody out there on the battlefield.
Oh, Vickery tried to go for some sneaky shots there, but Team Flash was a little bit wiser than that. They already have the glue walls ready, so they put up one to just hold up the back. So Shin and Bio right now inside of this next circle here, while Sem9 is still stuck on the border here, using that cabin still for cover, but there's not much space for them to maneuver around. In the meantime, Expand taking a lot of damage there. Bayo with an amazing throw and a grenade, taking out the rest of Expand. So now it's going to be between Flash, VGM, as well as Sem9. Sem9 with 2 members, VGM with only 1, Flash still with 3.
Yeah, smart play by Flash, but that time Turner saves the lives of Sem9, but not from the double. AC-80 shot was just a game of perfection. We Gaming themselves taken out in the 2nd spot, and Team Flash, what a victory. They continue to dominate Alpine. Before we started off the day, they were the ones who picked up the most number of points at Alpine, and that streak continues.
Yeah, well, it's Flash again. Showing us another amazing performance, something that we've always been seeing from them time and time again in Phase 2, and now has resulted in a booyah to add to their cap right now for Phase number 2, and that's going to certainly solidify the position in that first page for sure. Question is are they going to be making a lot of overtakes on some of the other teams here in this first page? I think that's very much on the cards, isn't it?
Yeah, there's no doubt whatsoever, right? I mean, first of all, taking over King of Gamers, we saw the distance between King of Gamers and Flash wasn't really that much to kind of shout about, but with them themselves really putting a chip on the block and making sure King of Gamers doesn't really get to rotate out around. We saw how the engagement between Sem9 as well as King of Gamers kind of became a little bit of an unfortunate situation, because King of Gamers did fantastically well. As I believe it was first Raiders that they managed to bag out, and they were basically gatekeeping them. But even they themselves forgot to travel early enough. That circle forced them in. It was just all-out chaos. But the play against M9, I think that was one of the most brilliant plays in this lobby.
Oh man, I mean, that was still like clutch. Just the reaction time alone was just impressive coming out from their end. But you know, Sam9, you know, we're still, you know, kind of fighting kind of in a weak spot anyway, because there were only 2 members left in that final circle. So no matter how you cut it, it was still not likely to get a booyah anyway. But it's just cathartic to see that Flash was just able to cut them down without much fuss anyway. So nevertheless, King of Gamers were definitely the highlight, I think, for this round here, because this fight around the house here has been such absolute chaos, and still, you know, in spite of all that, Sam9 somehow was the one who came out on top of that specific battle. But again, not quite unscathed. But nevertheless, you know, with Team Flash having taken the booyah, taken 12 kills as well, they are on top of the board for round 2, ahead of Sam9 anyway. King of Gamers Club not too shabby either, getting themselves 8 kills, allowing them to take 3rd place there with 5 placement points. MDH, even though they managed to get some progress in this round, only managed to get about halfway, only 9 points. They managed to get a total 3 kills during that round itself. I think first Raiders have finally gotten a round where they actually had some decent points here with the 8 kills they managed to pick up. But I don't know, what else what's your take on it though?
Yeah, I mean, I think Expand did a good job moving into the circle this time around without getting into those early engagements, but they couldn't really manipulate that final circle. I guess they were just a little bit too far apart. And once again, that's the weakness of spreading far apart very early on in the game, and then after trying to catch up later on, very low on loots. That kind of affected their gameplay as well as their capability to get very aggressive in that final circle. But Anxiety, although they're not dead last in this lobby, there's still not enough points to kind of launch them up to the top. 3 days of play is enough actually to squeeze into the top 6, but if this is that performance, I don't think they're going to be in a great position. The teams down here from the 8th all the way down to 12th, they all look like they're most definitely struggling in the competition. But if we focus on the plays on the teams on that left-hand side of the leaderboard, I mean, it's just perfection, right? Sem9, yes, they got taken out a little bit too early. They only had those 2 players, but if only that circle was on their side, things could have been a tad bit different. I think it was just unfortunate that it was Team Flash who saw them there and went straight up for that aggressive attack to finish all of them off.
Yeah, but still, regardless, they managed to end the round with 18 points. So that's extra 18 points that will keep the rest of the rivals and catching up to their current points lead. But, you know, Team Flash is certainly making the case for themselves that they might actually want to make a charge for the top 3 of this competition, as opposed to just really trying to rest on their laurels here with their slot to Jakarta. So they're just really trying to use this final, the final bit of this phase right now to make a sprint to the finish here. And I think they've made quite a strong case for themselves with having dealt 8,139 points of damage, which is quite significant actually, given that they got you know, kind of like most of the rounds we've seen, they're usually average between 6,000 to 7,000. 8,000 is quite a lot.
8,000 is a lot for any of the teams out there, right? And you're most definitely right. The average is around 6,000. With 8,000 damage though, I do expect more kills. That's the one thing that they didn't manage to secure for themselves, but you can see how aggressive and how hungry they were through the damage itself. They were taking pot shots at every single team out there, but the capability to execute is not as easy as one would think, because at the end of the day, this is the kind of lobby that we have in the Snapdragon Pro Series. Too many good teams. Way too many.
Yeah, so in that case, we want to thank all the sponsors who made the Snapdragon Pro Series possible here. So starting off with our main sponsor, Snapdragon Elite Gaming. Their tagline is, "For when winning matters," and winning matters a lot for them because they're providing a platform to allow all these esports teams to just keep on winning.
Absolutely.
So we thank them a lot for that. And also joining us here in the Snapdragon Pro Series is Samsung Galaxy. Check out the newest foldable phone called the Z Fold 4. You can unfold the world and play just like the Pro pros as long as you have a Samsung in your hand. And as well, we're going to thank our other sponsors, Monster Energy. They've been unleashing the beast with us ever since season 1 of SPS, and we thank them. Go ahead and check them out at their website, monsterenergy.com/gaming. And we also will ask you, whenever you're out of your credits in your game, where do you go? Go to Kachi Shop. They have great deals on their website, and they also provide additional bonuses to go along with the regular top-ups you would do just to fill up your in-game credits. So check them out over at kachishop.com. Nevertheless, I think it's going to be time for a break, isn't it?
Absolutely. A quick short break. When we come back, this crazy action continues.
The Snapdragon Pro Series powered by Samsung Galaxy is brought to you by Snapdragon Elite Gaming, Galaxy Z Fold 4, Monster Energy, and Kachi Shop.
Welcome to the place where dreams come true, where everything you want can be yours, if and only if you're willing to work for them, you're willing to hurt for them, but most of all, you're willing to be first for them. Ha! Look, I'm going straight to the top. I don't know how I would stop, like it or not. I got some goals that I'm hitting. You hear what I'm spitting? It's hot. Look what I got. Whole lot of passion and pain. The road to success is insane. Stay out my lane, cause I'm on a mission. I'm getting what stands in my way. Yeah, I'm a beast. I wouldn't play with me, baby. The way that I'm training is crazy, and I do it daily. You wanna talk about drive? I got more drive than Mercedes. I've never been lazy. I'm in the room, it's a red alert. You wanna compete? Well, get better first. I got 10 toes in the dirt, push through the hurt just to show them my worth. I'm the best. Yeah, I'm the best. I never stress. I know what's next. I'm who they test, like we playing chess. But I'm unimpressed, so now let me flex. Ha. Yeah, I'ma work through the struggle and hurt, cause I know my worth, and I gotta be first. Ha. Yeah, I gotta be first. Look, I don't want anyone's sympathy. I understand what it's meant for me. I give my focus and energy. If it's meant to be, then it's meant to be. But mentally, I'm undefeated. They hear that and say I'm conceited. Like there's no reason. Like I don't beat them and come back again just to teach them that when you work under pressure, you reach higher measures. They'll try and bring you down, but you cannot let them, and only get better and focus on cheddar. Eye on the prize and you'll become a legend. Like when I'm in the room, it's a red alert. You want to compete, well, get better first. I got 10 toes in the dirt. Push through the hurt just to show them my worth. I'm the best. Yeah, I'm the best. I never stress. I know what's next. I'm who they test. Like we playing chess. But I'm unimpressed. So now let me flex. Yeah, I'ma work through the struggle and hurt. Cause I know my worth. And I gotta be first. Yeah, I gotta be first. They don't know what's gotten into me. How'd I turn pain into energy? Do all the struggle.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. This is now round number 3 of this day's competition here. Phase 2 still continues this week here, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Victor Cax. This is the Pistachio. We're going to be commentating on all the rounds here for today. And after that round at Alpine, I think like right now, Team Flash is certainly on the rise, aren't they?
I mean, they have most definitely done very, very well for the day. And I don't think they're going to stop because they are the best performers at Alpine. We've got double Alpines running in here today. So Team Flash probably going to be flashing all the way up to the top. But let's take a quick peek at the overall standings to see exactly what sort of damage they were able to bring and how far were they able to climb. 4th place now for Team Flash, overtaking V Gaming Esports as well.
Like I said, they're probably gunning for that 3rd spot there, which is currently being held by Heavy. But now I think Flash is literally about one booyah and like final fight shenanigans away from actually taking away that 3rd spot to be the top Vietnamese squad here in Phase 2. So this is exciting development here, ladies and gentlemen. I mean, you thought that things were going to be settled after the first week. Heck no, it's still going to be continuous climb here for some of these squads to try to make it up to the board. In spite of King of Gamers having been able to get a lot of good points for themselves, they're still 7 shy of being able to overtake V Gaming Esports for that 5th spot. But at least they are very much far away from MDH at the moment, who was earlier on the biggest threat to them for that final slot of Jakarta. But I think King of Gamers Club has kind of done enough in these couple of rounds here that they can afford to kind of like focus more on the other teams ahead of them rather than trying to gatekeep the teams behind them.
That I'll have to agree with, right? And as long as they can just focus on their own performance, they're not going to have any problems whatsoever. It's more of what the other teams need to do to catch up with the 6 titans of this lobby right now, because the gap is becoming more and more unbeatable. And if MDH wants to stand a good chance to climb right back up, then we need to see a little bit of a solid performance from them in Bermuda as we head on to that map right after this. But here's the problem. MDH is not really the best team when it comes to Bermuda, and that's going to be a pretty much a challenge for them. But if they can play the game of survival and get to that final circle, and then of course nick off a couple of steals and a couple of kills, there is still hope here, Victor.
Yeah, I mean, again, they're more stacked when it comes to kill points as opposed to placement points. And you can see the exact opposite kind of thing when you look at Anxiety's kind of performance. They have literally less kill points than they actually have placement points, which is kind of emblematic of like how difficult they've been finding this phase of competition to be when it comes to getting kills. So yeah, we'll see whether or not they'll be able to improve on that. So the teams to watch out here that are going to be highlighted is of course Team Flash. V Gaming Esports has also been very consistent in getting themselves to those final circle fights. They just haven't really been able to convert that into a booyah and an overall win yet. Sam9 as well has been consistently getting themselves up into these fights, and it's no surprise that they are also still one of the top favorites, you know, to get to Jakarta.
Yeah, but you know, some of these teams, they look like they're lacking a little bit of energy, and I know exactly who can help them out with it, Victor.
Yeah, that's going to be one of our sponsors here, Monster Energy. They've been supplying us with plenty of like energy juice here to unleash the beast amongst these teams here, as well as us casters. You know, we literally do drink Monsters.
Two cans
a day.
Before the show, 2 cans.
Yeah, you need all the energy you can get. You know, when we're talking all day long, and Monster Energy has been the perfect partner for us in Snapdragon Pro Series, because it's all about getting to Jakarta, ladies and gentlemen. I love this new banner that they put out here.
Oh, yeah.
So it's going to happen in Mal Taman Anggrek. So if you happen to be in Indonesia, if you happen to be in Jakarta, you don't want to miss this out, because on the 4th and 5th of February 2023, that's when all the top Southeast Asian Free Fire teams will be coming down on ground to play against each other in the grand finals and to determine who's going to be taking away that $65,000 prize.
Whew, I mean, everybody's aiming for that lion's share, but you know, before even getting to that lion's share, everybody's just waiting for that flight ticket to be booked first.
Yeah.
But that will only be decided after 3 days, including today, exactly who gets to fly on over there. And it looks like the leaderboard is pretty much showing us who they could be. But anything can happen. I mean, after all, we just started the day. We are barely in that halfway point. After this next game, though, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, once we complete Bermuda, that will be the halfway point. Let's see if or not the story kind of changes a tad bit here. Because once again, the flight path cuts through Mars Electric to Riverside. The map has been absolutely equal for everybody to play on today.
Yeah, interesting that like FARANG this time around is not going to be choosing to go to the high tier loot zone. That also possibly is because it's so far away that, you know, you're more likely to find other teams to get there first. So they're going to be dropping down to Mars Electric, and that's actually good for them because the safe zone actually lands right there. In the meantime, they're still having to fight their way out of this though, because Expand is also just landed in Factory, and unfortunately FARANG is a bit spread out at the moment. So I think X-Roy is going to have to fight by himself. This last member here, Jembal, had to fight basically by himself. He will get caught, he will get taken down. So first blood going to Expand.
Yep, X-Roy managing to catch him out, but Team Flash in a fight against King of Gamers as well. Could this be the moment where King of Gamers, they bomb out a little bit too early? We'll still have to wait and see. Not a lot of space to run away. When you're at Mill, there's a lot of elevations there that keeps you in this compound in itself. And you can see the strategy of King of Gamers, keeping 2 players in the compound, just sending 1 survivor to get away, maybe move on towards Riverside. And that's going to be the saving grace for King of Gamers if at all this fight does go south. It's a 2v4, and against Team Flash, that's a lot to ask for if you want to step away with a victory.
Yeah, that's the thing. They have to have 2 members here to keep the rest of Flash, which is still on the full stack at bay. So at least they have that one insurance policy. Now the question is, can they farm any kill points here in this confrontation? Bloody's going to be forced around the outside while the rest of Flash will swarm around Oscar 77. They do cut him down, unfortunately, before he's able to do any more damage. So there's already another one down. And Osaka gets caught out by Bayo with the Mag 7 just around the outside as well. So that's pretty much a handy win for Flash. And King of Gamers is going to have to start from square one yet again.
And that was a really good play by Bloody to make sure he prevents that 1 kill point from being taken by his opponent's King of Gamers before he goes down. But look at this. Looks like Knight has found a good place to sleep unless Axis Esports can disturb his slumber. This is going to take a while. This revival point to bring the rest of his team members back in is not going to cost him any money, but it might just cost him his life, as it takes a while for you to bring your team right back into this match.
And the thing is, I got his back actually exactly where Neptune is actually headed towards, so he will probably be spotted here. The thing is, Neptune is alone though. The rest of Axis is still held up at the shipyard. They're still busy focusing on their farm instead. So probably not too much pressure here for Knight. He will be able to bring back the rest of his squad right now and just in time to continue farming on. So first Raiders, kind of low-key. The last round for them actually worked out a lot better than I think even they themselves would expect, because they managed to get a quite decent haul of points and is continuing to try to rise up to the challenge of trying to overtake MDH. So that'll be something exciting to see if that will turn out. VGM will be the team that makes it to the high-tier loot zone. What kind of good loot will they find?
Let's see exactly what VGM can pull off a little bit later on, but they're not going to be tickled by anyone just yet. But King of Gamers, they have managed to get away from one team, but now stuck in between Axis. I guess the saving grace here is Axis is not really the most aggressive team out there on the battlefield. King of Gamers should be able to deal with this, but it's a 50-50 fight because 3 of the players just got back in. They barely have loots on themselves, so they cannot afford to take any of those open ground fights, because without those glue walls, there's no way they can sustain. But look at this, man. King of Gamers, just the absolute champ, still manages to take down Neptune, and Neptune was the one who had an opportunity to make sure King of Gamers do not not make it back into the game. What a turn of events.
I mean, the positioning was so much better there for King of Gamers. They actually somehow managed to completely envelope Neptune there in that regard. Now Rapid's going to have to fight on his own here against two members of King of Gamers who will come around his blue wall to take him down. So that's only 2 down now for Axis. And the rest of the team, I think they're just going to be backing out of this fight. Or maybe Flame7 might have some other ideas. He's still lurking around the opposite end of the dam here. So maybe he might be able to pull some interruption or maybe get an extra kill point or 2 before inevitably he gets swamped by King of Gamers. But nevertheless, the other 2 members who just been brought back are already clearing out from this zone here. They don't want to deal with King of Gamers any more than they need to. So Flame7 is going to be left to his own devices here as he's stuck right at the bottom dam. I think he's already been spotted though. Osaka definitely has saw the shield bubble come out there, so he knows that at least one member of Axis is still hanging around at the dam right now. They just want to try to flush him out.
Oh, what a nade! But Flame doesn't get tickled by it, but it's an ice grenade that does manage to take a couple of ticks away from him. Osaka with those backstab shots as well. And at this point, Exac's just waiting for him to just kaput because he's already at the vending machine waiting to buy back Flame7. I don't know if or not this is going to be a situation Flame7 can get out of. The best case scenario here is he gets a kill point. But with 3 players surrounding him, Flame7, that jig is... Oh! He still manages to knock though! What a crazy player!
See, like, even if you're going down, you go down fighting anyway, because you never know if you're going to be able to get an extra point for your team or not.
Yeah.
And that's certainly worked out a little bit well for him. Unfortunately, he didn't manage to confirm the kill before he get knocked down, but he just shows that Axis, there are no pushovers, really. Even though they're kind of struggling to try to make it to Jakarta, they're not struggling really to take some of these fights, though.
And with Raf and Tune back in the matchup, all thanks to Exact. They just have to wait and see exactly where they can hop on off to later on. I don't like this strat though. Instead of taking the jump pad, they are bringing the vehicle into the circle. Should be able to pick up a member with him. And the third guy is already deep inside of this next safe zone. So this is going to prove to be a good survival strategy for Axis, at least for the time being. Anxiety, on the other hand, staying away from everybody else. Heading deep into Rimnam Village. 1 vehicle in their hands as well, and that's going to be the scout that maneuvers around, looking and seeing if or not this team can rotate out in the open. Let's see exactly what their fate will be. Expand, no deaths this time around. That's a very big good start for Team Expand, who have been getting caught very early on by so many teams.
SM9 actually jumping on top of VGM there on the western side. The next safe zone actually puts VGM in under a really good position at the moment, but we still have that solo member who decided to use the launch pad to get himself in the midst of VGM there, so I wonder if he's going to be able to hold out. I think that's, you know, they have one down in the form of newbie right now. They've just revived back to 1 member here. I think like Victory is going to have bit of a trouble there to try to hold the front against VGM without the support of the rest of his team. Oh, sorry, that's not Victory. That's Raja, actually. He's caught up inside the warehouse. Montan trying to keep him away from the doorway while his teammate is going to be moving up in front now to try to cut him down, maybe with that sight or maybe with that submachine gun he has in his hand. But they're just taking it very slow right now, getting the shots out. And Raja, he was just completely surrounded on all sides here. That was a very, very unfortunate situation for him.
And that's what happens when you fly into the compound of V Gaming. They're going to be saying thank you very much for the kill point and moving on with their day, of course. MDH, this is a big match for them. They desperately need a few points to catch up with the top 6. Jembal stuck between a rock and a very hard place, down on the ground, and the kill is picked up by NP. The rest of Team Farang, they back away. 1 good grenade could do Spade in. Where is it tossed? Out in the open. He gets away.
They tossed it into the wrong window. They were literally on the 2nd floor. That one went straight into the attic, I think. So that's not going to do much, unfortunately. Farang still very secure inside the house, at least for now. Oh, put up a glue wall just in time to block up the rest of MPH, as NP is going to be the one getting caught out the outside the open. Either he does take out Jezebel though, but things are not actually working out for Farang at all, as they're getting completely wiped here by MDH, who are just continuing to make their way upstairs now. They're finding this last member, Too Bad, who's trying to use the time turner to his advantage right now, trying to peel away from the rest of MDH, but they do take him down anyway. The first squad to be taken out here in Bermuda.
Yep, thank you for coming, Farang. The players of Axis Esports might bite the dust as well as King of Gamers catch up with them. And for the time being, MDH, they've done phenomenally well for themselves, but Sem9, Zen OP just struggling outside of the circle, very low on HP, tops himself right back up using the elevation of this kill here. Bantan from across V Gaming sees a little bit of cow fire from Fikri, who manages to get one player down on the ground. Zen OP moving in from the back as well. It looks like Ben is going to be in a lot of trouble, but Expand, what a well-executed revenge. Team flashes out.
Yeah, out in 11th place, no less. So that's a huge surprise there. Expand started putting in an upset. But VGM right now definitely feeling a bit upset that they lost Vantan just now to a very long shot. So now they're trying to see if they can finish off the rest of Sem9, who I believe are only 2 members strong right now. Newbie and Fikri, the only people left here from Sem9 continuing on this fight. Bont is up on top. He does have a sniper's rifle. He's just trying to spot positioning. He sees one, gets a shot. Oh, almost takes down UB, but he gets the blue wall up in time, and he gets a revenge shot at him right there. Fikri with the semi-auto sniper will be able to cut him down.
Oh, smart play by Fikri, and Newbie, his life is saved behind that glue wall. He gets to top it right back up and continue his journey in towards the circle. MDH circles around DEWA to find this defensive compound for themselves, and Nero's going to be up top. That VSS is going to be able to do a lot of damage, and DEWA, they don't want any of this. They back away ever so slowly.
Yep, and the thing is that MDH just scored a coup by literally launch padding themselves into this building, so now they have plenty of cover to work against DEWA here to try to keep them kept from this next safe zone, which I might remind you is actually on the beach here at Rimdown Village.
Yeah.
So it's a lot of water around the border there. I wonder if that's going to become a factor later on when the final circle comes out, but I digress. It's still a way to go. MDH still continue to try to gatekeep DEWA, and I think First Raiders is also getting in on the action there because they're putting up some shots onto DEWA's lineup as well. Heavy is moving in from north to south, and they're actually going to be colliding straight onto First Raiders soon, so they're going to have more things to worry about as soon as they come down the road.
Yep, and it looks like First Raiders, my goodness, they're taking the fight with the players in front, but Heavy attacks from the back, and this backstab is just absolutely perfect. Glue wall, just a couple of more shots to take it right down, and it looks like Heavy's bringing that heavy firepower in, and First Raiders can't do much about it at all. And that glue grenade, that flash grenade will be able to take him out of the equation. Fudai with the final kill. NP on the ground, and MDH struggles a tad bit as well as DEWA focuses fire on them. Thankfully, there's nobody to backstab them, but they need to start moving right now.
Yep, the thing is that the blue zone is already closing in, so this is going to put even more pressure on DEWA now. MDH is going to be forced to peel out of this in order to get to the next safe zone, but Heavy is getting a launch pad that MDH used just now to actually take over the building, so oh my goodness, DEWA now having 2 squads in a row here, just kind of like taking over that same building, but they're also putting in a hurt on them though. Buffalo has been knocked down by DEWA United as MDH just safely made it into this next safe zone here, but they're still stuck out on the beach.
Yeah, Buffalo Soldier, he needs to manage to maneuver around this body of water, but unfortunately for them, Anxiety is going to be very annoying with that high ground advantage. They are holding on to all of that high ground around Rimnam Village. They should be able to pressure every single team, including Sem9, but they haven't spotted Sem9 just yet. That might just be the death of them. As Vamps manages to get that grenade, takes out Virus. Virus, fantastic response. Renz manages to get that MDH player down to the ground as well. And King of Gamers, they didn't see that coming. Oscar, he's down, but he's not out just yet. Osaka very low on HP as well as MDH gets eliminated. DEWA as well, getting tagged up by Heavy. Expand arrives just to play a little bit of distraction here. But Heavy really wants DEWA, focusing fire now on both the teams who took out DEWA.
Is Expand taking fire from anyone else right now? Because Heavy is just doing double duty here and is actually winning the war on both fronts right now. Axis Esports get themselves eliminated outside of the blue zone just now, while Expand is desperate to try to stabilize the situation here. I don't see DEWA anymore on the map, so I think they're just completely wiped out from Heavy just now, and Heavy now pulling back here to try to join up with Fudai, who right now is taking a lot of damage here, and it's unfortunately been knocked down by Anxiety.
This is Anxiety's opportunity because everybody's running straight at them. Not many teams are inside of the circle at the moment. Anxiety does have a defensive compound as well, but if they do not fish out all of these players who are desperately trying to swim towards them, they are going to be the most heaviest losers a little bit later on, because everybody will be eyeing for that defensive position that they are holding onto. Heavy now very smartly dodging in and out through those glue walls, as well as Mother Nature using those coconut trees as defense. That's a fantastic idea.
Oh, Hawkeye was the only one still outside there, while Anxiety is taking control over the shack that's just on the north of this next safe zone. So the thing is that Heavy, having won that, will be now moving towards where Anxiety's position is. It might actually run them to where Expanse is as well, but Expanse is busy with this siege now onto Anxiety as Shomai tries to send a couple of throwables their way, a flash grenade as well. There's a freezing grenade being sent out. Tom XD takes out the Axle right around the edges of this blue zone here, and they're going to be continuing to find other stragglers as well as Bingsu gets spotted out by Mill now. That's a good throwable there straight onto X-Roy into Too Fast to force him out of the way. So right now, Heavy has a wide open door now to get into the building and to try to take on Anxiety.
Yeah, triple ice grenades will take away at the health of X-Roy, who turns around, turns it on me now, and Team Heavy receiving heavy firepower from Expand. Udai circles around, X-Roy manages to get away. What a glue wall pulled out, and that's going to be the saving grace for Team Expand.
Yeah, but it's going to get broken down anyway, but there's still plenty of other access points they could use, but the thing is, they don't really have control over what happens in the building. Anxiety very much have some machine guns to use here, but now the Blue Zone has just come in and Expand, getting themselves taken out by Kanoho's grenade launcher, so Anxiety having good work done onto them, but now they're forced to get out onto the open here, and that's going to put them in a little bit of a tight spot here, but they still get the throwables down. Buffalo getting taken down by Kanoho by 2 grenades to come out in quick succession, and that's going to certainly hurt the chances in this next circle right now. Anxiety with still 3 members, now chasing out the other 2 of Heavy here, Tom XD, as well as Buffalo Fudai trying to get out of the way right now, but the rest Anxiety is collapsing straight onto them. So much firepower, can he get anyone done?
Wow.
No, he does not. He gets run down as well. Fudai hells up inside the shack, but then the Blue Zone just basically coming to the front door, but no! Osaka from a distance with a G3 rifle takes out the rest of Anxiety. Now it's going to be here to finish up the rest of Heavy.
Yeah, King of Gamers going in here for their second booyah of the game as Heavy gets taken out of the equation. It is the King of Gamers dominating day 4. What a play so far. They had the most number of points accumulated over map 1 and 2, and it looks like it's going to be the exact same story as you throw in the points picked up at Bermuda as well. What an opportunity, all developed by Anxiety, all of that chaos as the pressure was placed onto Heavy. King of Gamers just needed to kick back, relax, and watch the fight and wait for that opportune moment.
Yeah, again, it's all about the patience, isn't it? It's all about how you finish up the fight, not necessarily how you start it really in these battles, right? So King of Gamers is just taking all the good opportunities right now, and that's because it's certainly going to put them on the climb here in this first page of the results. So I'm going to be very excited to see how that's going to all turn out once all things are said and done. Nevertheless, though, that was really a really exciting circle, actually, like looking back at it, because there's so much actually happening at once in this particular round. Like in the last round, even it was a little bit slower, but then now I think that's also the beauty of Bermuda as well. It's a much smaller map, so there's still more opportunities for these teams to collide with each other, and you could see that the repositioning that some of these guys managed to do was so crucial to winning out a lot of these fights. I mean, particularly like King of Gamers versus Axis just now. Remember, like King of Gamers literally had wrapped around the dam, cutting off both Neptune as well as 6-6 grab. Those kind of positional movements are what is crucial for these teams to be able to get the upper hand in these fights.
And from what we saw, Anxiety is really well adapted using those throwables, those grenades, that grenade launcher as well, which dealt so much of damage. And this was one of the best matches that Anxiety has had so far. And this is what we expect out of the team as well. A little bit of consistency in terms of play. They just need to figure out what went right in this match. I think I already know. It's the looting process that they managed to pick up all of those grenades, as well as the luck of finding that grenade launcher, right? They just need to focus on those plays once again if they want to stand a chance, because, I mean, from dead last, this is their opportunity to rise up to the occasion. 3 days to go, a total of 18 maps to play is more than enough, but we need a little bit of consistency, Victor.
Yeah, we do indeed, because like now we're just seeing kind of like some teams rising up while others falling, and all at different rates really. So by the end of it, I mean, you know, still the proof is in the pudding. The proof is going to be in the actual points that comes out. King of Gamers now 23 points with 11 kills they bagged in round number 3 here. That's certainly going to set them quite far apart from the others here, as Heavy has only been able to bag like 9 kills, total of 18 points. Anxiety, like I said, best round we've seen from them so far, nailing down 13 points in total out of 5 kills. Would have hoped to actually see them actually gain a lot more, given that they were, at one point having a lot of control over the fight, given that they were the first ones inside that shack on the northern side on the final circle. MDH no slouch either, able to get like 8 points out of 6 kills. So they're still at least, making sure that they're not too far apart, but they still need to have a very, very good round though, because this is still not going to be enough for them to really challenge King of Gamers for that 6th spot.
Yeah, I hope Anxiety is listening, because I think one of the main things they need to focus on is getting 2 well-adapted snipers on their side and really practicing those shots, right? Because I think they were the most blessed team with their positioning earlier on. They had the high ground advantage, they had so many teams running at them, but not a single kill taken from that situation. Almost all of those eliminations that they did manage to get was through CQCs when that circle was pressuring everyone in. Expand ended up in front of them, and then of course a couple of gamers from the side of Heavy as well. Those grenades did the most of the job, but you just could not see them handle any of those mid to long range fights, which is such a disappointment. They could have been that #1 team on the leaderboard even without the Booyah.
Yeah, so Heavy with 7,000 damage here. They certainly have kind of like make a strong reply now to Team Flash's resurgence in that previous round. So again, like I'm expecting to see this a lot from the Vietnamese teams here, because when there's no longer that slot to Jakarta to fight for, it's really going to be a fight for pride here for all these Vietnamese squads. So who's going to be the team that really, because I think like none of the other like Vietnamese squads are in the top 6 right now that's already booked for Jakarta. So this is really kind of like a mini Vietnamese regional qualifier in a sense. I say that in a very like loose sense, really, because they're still fighting against Malaysian and Indonesian squads. It's just that.
So, wait, Malaysia's in here?
Yeah.
Nah, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
Yeah, so, but anyway, it's like I said, their main competition is really against their own fellow countrymen. Like, I think at this point now, it's just a matter of see which is going to be the one that ends up being on top here. Is it going to be Flash? Is it going to be Heavy? Maybe even V Gaming Esports if they actually pick it up a lot. So I think that's going to be something exciting to see here for Phase 2.
Absolutely, man. Of course, I am still very much interested in the underdog story, whether or not we will be able to see a team like Anxiety rise up to the occasion and get the top 6. But of course, this action continues and the potential of the underdogs rising after a quick short break.
The Snapdragon Pro Series powered by Samsung Galaxy is brought to you by Snapdragon Elite Gaming, Galaxy Z Fold 4, Monster Energy, and Kachi Shop.
They don't want it with me. You got a problem with me? Love, you don't want it with me. Man, you won't ever stop me. Who y'all really got a problem with? Who y'all really trying to solve them with? Who don't really like the sound of this? Who come with me getting down to this? You better step back, get your neck cracked, get laid down when you best step. Better check that with a fresh map. Get lost now with no extract. Like, look, that's all me. Got my number, don't call me. We eating up, that's all beef. You freezing up, that's y'all's team. Cause we don't really lose no more. All about heating up, leaving that cold. You can see me eating up, killing that show. I ain't about giving up, no. Nah, cause they don't want it with me. Look, you got a problem with me. Look, cause y'all don't want it with me. If you start a fire with me, then you never gonna stop me. Sound the alarm. We about to go on. You getting it wrong. Time to go off. Can't hold us back. Truth hurts, you always that. My truth lurks, say y'all collapse. Now scoop first where your homies at. Come my team with me right now. My team's on me right now. But what you mean y'all out? It's time to weed y'all out. Okay, we coming back with a vengeance. Time to go start your engines. What is this thing y'all mention? Time for y'all stop pretending, Nah, y'all can't do that. Where your crew at? Y'all can't do that. Nah, where your crew at? Nah, man, cause now you alone. Yeah, get out of my zone. Man, cause now you alone. Love, get out of my zone. Nah, cause they don't want it with me.
Tell me who you see when you look straight up like, wait, who? Us now. What you gon' do when we pull up on you like, ooh, touchdown. You already know what it is when I come through you. Ooh, shut down. Say, ooh, shut down. Say, ooh, what now? Tell me who you see when you look straight up like, wait, who? Us now. What you gon' do when we pull up on you like, ooh, touchdown. You already know what it is when we come through you. Ooh, shut down. Ooh, shut down. Ooh, give me that crown. I need that now, right now. Ooh, don't make a sound. It's my time. You hear the crowd. Hey, we need that rain. Me and my team. Deja vu. This here a dream. We done all seen 100 times over back when we was just teens. Now we going dumb. Told them we the one. They would count us out. Now we counting up the funds. Now without a doubt, they be throwing up the ones. Like they was always rapping. I believe them if you want.
Xin chào tất cả mọi người, và mình là Heavy Phú Đại, mình là đội trưởng của team Heavy hiện tại. Vị trí của mình là con team. Thật sự thì hai vòng đấu vừa rồi đối với mình cũng khá là bất ngờ, tại vì bọn mình đã nằm ở top hơi không được cao ở vòng bảng ở ngoài, nhưng mà vô chung kết anh em lại làm khá tốt và dẫn đến top 1 đầu bảng. Lúc đó thì bọn mình hơi bị xúc động. Bọn mình thường thì team mình có truyền thống từ trước tới giờ rồi, nói chung là bọn mình đặt cái mục tiêu là điểm top sẽ cao hơn điểm kill, nên bọn mình sẽ ưu tiên việc vào bỏ trước. Vòng bảng thì mình chỉ đặt mục tiêu là tấm vé để vào vòng tiếp theo thôi, nên bọn mình thường sẽ không bắn hết chiến thuật cũng như là không tung hết bài ra, để khi chung kết mình sẽ làm cho đối thủ.
Welcome to the Snapdragon Pro Series, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. This is a fantastic show brought to you by the Snapdragon Pro Series and, of course, powered by Samsung Galaxy. My name's AJ. I'm the Mustachio down here with the one and only Victor Gax, your commentators for the day. And what a day it's unfolding to be, because, you know, the Malaysian teams, we have a little bit of hope on them because we are from the exact same nation as well. But it doesn't seem to be an easy journey for a lot of them. Obviously, Expand is in a really good spot already, but from the others who are from Malaysia, it is still very much a struggle, Victor.
Yeah, Axis and Farang have like not really impressed too much in even phase 1 as well. They were also struggling, and right now only Sem9 and Expand are really having a good time, so to speak. I mean, Expand, to be fair to them, like they were struggling even in phase 2 to find those booyahs. Only managed to find a couple of it last week itself that allowed them to maintain somewhat of a 3rd place spot. But then now with the Vietnamese squads stepping up their aggression, stepping up the competitiveness, you know, it's making it like a really hard battlefield now, I think, for these two Malaysian squads. Who are still the two Malaysian squads, they're still in the running here to get to Jakarta. Expand, at least from that last round, has managed to get enough kill points now to stay ahead of Heavy. But look at King of Gamers Club, now climbed up to 4th place. You know, early on they were 5th place, having overtaken V Gaming Esports. Team Flash, unfortunately, it dropped down to 6th right now, 4 points away from V Gaming Esports. So there's still a lot of movement happening here on this first part of the page. Now on the second page though, DEWA United still in that 8th spot, MDH still stuck in 7th. Axis Esports and FARANG now separated by First Raiders Eclipse, who did manage to get some good kills, I think, in the last round, but still not enough to overtake Axis at this point.
Yeah, as much as Expand is trying to hustle their way up, Sem9 just finds a way to put that distance between them, right? And a 30-point lead is not very easy to catch up with, but we still do have 3 games. That's all dependent on whether or not Expand can continue to hustle up towards the top. It is a little disappointing to see them continuously still spreading out on the battlefield very early on in the game. I think one of the things we've been heavily focused on is the looting process. And if you don't manage to, even if you do manage to get great loots, but you're still going to get taken out as you spread out there on the open field very early on in the game, it's just an absolute waste of those initial moments. And yes, you could take a fight later on in the game, but as that circle closes in tighter and tighter, you're going to see more of those players and less of an opportunity to even loot up or manage to maneuver around any of those open grounds. So that's something that the Malaysian squad really needs to think about. But let's talk about a little bit of Heavy firepower, right? Because I think Heavy stood a great chance of taking this booyah if it wasn't for a very, very annoying anxiety that appeared out of nowhere.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like, Anxiety really stepped up to the plate on this round. Now, granted, it's still going to be stuck in 12th place. That's just a consequence of like how poorly they perform in Phase 1 as well as the early part of Phase 2. But I'm glad to see that actually this squad is starting to pick up the pace a little bit.
Yeah.
And actually, since like they're the only Filipino squad in this competition, and they so far haven't really been able to show off what the PH region has been capable of in the game of Free Fire. But nevertheless, it's still a decent round for them. Hopefully, we'll be able to continue to climb up. And you can even see just from the points alone that Anxiety still struggles to find kills overall, because you have 98 placement points, but you're still having only 50 kill points. You're still not even able to beat FARANG, who managed to get 57, but then FARANG conversely doesn't really have a lot of placement points to begin with. So it does seem to indicate that Anxiety maybe they're having some sort of like a gap in terms of skill level when it comes to these other regions. What do you think your take on this is?
I don't think it's just the kill points, right? I think it's more of a strategy issue, because even if you look at MDH is very high when it comes to the number of kills, but they're still on the right-hand side of the leaderboard, right? And that's exactly where the strategy comes into play. You need to find a way to kind of climb up the leaderboard purely using the placement points first, and then the kill points as a good buffer, as a good bonus in terms of whatever else that you can get. So I think what I really want for Anxiety is to focus on the looting process very early on. Pick up those glue walls, pick up the grenades especially, because that's exactly where they excel. They just cannot seem to find or connect their shots when they use their guns. And I don't know exactly what's wrong with their mechanical skills, but the grenades always delivers for this squad. Get into the final circle, have a good loot of those nades, and then shower it down on everybody inside of the final circle. You're gonna be most definitely the winner. And I think one solid booyah out of Anxiety can launch them up not one, not two, but multiple spots. And then from there on, the rest of the 2 days of play, you just really gotta focus on those safe plays, because you're not aiming for the world, you're just aiming for the top 6, and that's very doable even if you're dead last right now.
Exactly. So in any case, that's going to be one thing we want to keep an eye out on Anxiety for here, naturally, given they are the solo PH squad right now in this phase of competition. So we're hoping to see that at least they'll be able to carry the flag, to victory here. Now we're going to be coming on to Kalahari. This is going to be an interesting. It's already such an interesting map alone, just because of the elevation. The high elevation you can get there, especially if you take control of refinery early on. And also just the use of the grapple gun. This is something I never really noticed until this competition in particular. It's like the teams are really fully utilizing that grapple gun mechanic right now to rapidly reposition themselves, get themselves up to high ground positions where like a lot of people like to take snipers' nests up in this Kalahari map. Now that's completely wide open there with these teams able to use the grapple gun to get themselves up onto there. And what I really want to
gets you up, and it also helps you get down safely, because if without the grappling gun from a height like that, the fall damage is pretty solid, right? It might just be able to take you out of the equation. It sure as hell knocks you down and leaves you open for a kill point, a free kill point for one of the other teams. So grappling hook, very, very much needed. But this is where I think Anxiety will be able to rise up to the top once again, right? Because it's actually one of their better maps.
I see. So again, like Kalahari throws a lot of these teams out of the loop, because compared to other bats like Purgatory, Bermuda, etc., you don't have the same level of verticality. You don't have like the set pieces that they have on the Kalahari is so unique, because you have iconic parts like the sub, for example, the mammoth. There's all these kind of really weird obstacles that you kind of have to like fully understand how to play around those specific obstacles, because they're very different than the usual type of sphere that you find in other maps. Just plain buildings, containers, etc. Here is like there's a lot more hidden kind of areas you can actually climb up onto. There's like cliff sides that you literally can actually use to your advantage to get yourself into a position that other teams cannot really get to in the first place. And now we're going to be jumping into the game now, so you can see exactly what I'm talking about here. So we're going to be going on to Kalahari really soon. And I don't know, like from your analysis right now, like who are the teams besides Anxiety who also have been consistently performing well when it comes to Kalahari?
Sem9 heavy for sure. Expand, they usually find the top spots. V Gaming, they are surely dominant on Kalahari as well. These 4 teams, you can surely expect to see them a lot, especially in that final circle. But I am very, very heavily focused on Anxiety, because that's the underdog for me personally. I think it's very clear from the overall leaderboard that they are the underdogs, who have had a lot of great showing in tournaments of the past. And I've just have no idea what in the world happened to the squad, because they were in top flight and now they are dead last, right? It seems to be the exact same setup, but the team has just lost that fervor, lost that energy for that fight out there on the battlefield. So hopefully this time around they get to turn things a little bit around. The one, you kind of highlighted a couple of locations within the whole of Kalahari, but the one part where I really want to see some good fights, especially in the early game, is Refinery. Because you take that drop on Refinery, you're pretty much going to be in that final circle, because that's smack dab around the middle of the map as a whole. So push comes to shove, the circles are mainly going to be centered around that area. Even if it does move away from there, the amount of traveling you have to do from Refinery itself is not a lot. As opposed to being in one of the corner parts, for example, the Maze or Council Hall, where you for sure, unless you're damn lucky, you need to travel a lot. And from what we have seen so far in the game, regardless of the team, mostly when they're traveling around in the open is when they get caught with their pants down, they get sprayed out, especially when they don't have really good loot. So Refinery is my favorite spot when we come into Kalahari, but we're going to hop on into the matchup now. Let's see exactly who takes these highlighted positions.
So let's see. Now the plane is going to be making its way from north to south here, cutting eastwards. The high tier loot zone is around Santa Catarina. I don't remember even the last time they actually landed on there. Most of the time I usually see it on the Council Hall or maybe on Old Hampton Foundation, etc. This is going to be one where I think Heavy might be thinking about making a beeline towards, but we also get anxiety just landing themselves close to that high tier loot zone as well. Any hot drops on the moment? Looks like MDH might be listening on the broadcast because they're going to be the first ones to get onto Refinery. And just like you said, you know, every time the first safe zone always lands on top of Refinery, no matter the map. I've seen this a lot in Phase 2 here. And too fast already getting a kill onto Soza. In the meantime, Heavy is as well finding some kills there into Anxiety. So right now, just on the opening itself, we're already seeing plenty of kills happening on the feed.
And once again, Anxiety is super spread out. This is that one team that cannot afford to spread out at all. You don't have a lot of mechanical skills on you, especially in this current season, so you have to stick together as much as possible. Yes, that puts you in quite the unfortunate situation if at all some of your opponents do have a lot of grenades to play around with. You group up, you get taken down. Hawkeye slashes and dices but finds nothing.
Just slicing in the air practically there. So very unfortunate.
He's playing a different game there. Fruit Ninja time.
Yeah, he probably thought he was playing Sekiro, not actually playing Free Fire. But I digress though. Unfortunately, he was very much caught in a very awkward spot there. So it was just all or nothing, I think, in his mind at that point. In the meantime, Expand, taking out Kanoho's bike. He's going to have to hoop it on foot, but the bonfire has only come up X-Roy, so he's able to tank a lot of that damage, and that allows him to get a knockdown into Kanoho.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how many times I'm not going to say this, but I really hate it when teams split apart early game, especially if you're a team that cannot handle that firepower from some of your opponents here. God Toby, unfortunately now, is the sacrificial lamb that has to go out in the open, find a way to revive the rest of his team members. He barely has coins on him, so those vending machines are not going to be very useful, but I don't know if he has enough money to at least buy back one player, because that's going to be your safe play. Buy one player back and then focus on getting to one of those revival platforms. X-Roy going to get caught out in the open. Buffalo Soldier with that shot from the back. AC-80, double shots connect, extra piece of damage. Heavy gets his easy knock.
AC-80 strikes again. That's why it's such a coveted pickup here on Free Fire. I mean, the damage it can still do at range, and plus the semi-automatic feature just makes it so easy for them to nail those shots. Nevertheless, VGM Bingsu finding himself at the wrong end of a Charge Blaster rifle, welded by Exact here from Axis Esports. They caught him basically as a straggler because the rest of the squad is still spread out closer to where the revive point is, near to the Council Hall. But Axis Esports not really budging from the position right now, as they still also realize they're being fired upon by Vantan, who is up. Dakalop is actually one of the subs right here for VGM playing in this round. He's actually providing some cover fire from on top of the roof, and is actually doing some damage onto the back line of Axis. Exactly already down to a sliver of health, while Dakalop is going to join up together with Vantan here to try to bolster the firepower. And speaking of firepower, here comes the cavalry. Team Flash now moving in on Axis's position. who's going to be able to win this out. Axis having some time now to get a setup, but they're going to be crowded around that window while Shin is already knocking on their door, trying to wrap around here, but unfortunately Glue Wall Buster will be brought up. He's already trying his very best to hold position, but unfortunately his Glue Walls cannot survive too long in this zone. He needs to find another entry point.
Good advantage for Axis Esports. They had a defensive compound to work around with, which forces Team Flash to waste a lot of those glue walls. Now all Axis needs to do is just return fire, but they are just running around, scrambling like little cockroaches, being sprayed by shield talks. Shin does go down though. That's a good start to things. Raph does manage to get the kill for the squad, but Bio with a God Nade out of nowhere. Neptune goes down, and one by one, Axis, they fall.
Oh my goodness, Axis, they really were not expecting this here. I mean, Flash coming in strong, completely wiping them out of the house. Bloody now trying to take on Exact, who's stuck on the outside, but the thing is, he's also taking damage from behind. There is still one more member in Axis, but 666 Raph gets knocked down by the shotgun anyway, so that's a win for Flash for now. But VGM, they saw and heard all the commotion. They want in on the action too.
Yeah, V Gaming, they look like they are quite solid on the loots. Flash just took down Axis, so they should be able to loot up all of their dead bodies and be prepared for this next battle. And they do have the defensive compound to work around with, so medkits need to be used at this very moment. 7-9 on the other hand, getting caught outside, and this is gonna be an absolute annihilation as First Raiders raid the squad. Darkhole, Souza, and Ozzy still alive and kicking, but they're a little bit too far away. Souza now just needs to toss a good nade before he can get to the rest, but it seems like we are just gonna come to a little bit of a pause as First Raiders back away. Team Flash, on the other hand, V Gaming, this is inevitable.
Yeah, the thing is that they're just kind of held up a little bit here because they don't really have an advantage.
Nice.
And nice grenade there on the top. That's actually putting the front line of VGM under a lot of pressure as Bayo now tries to open up a flank on the right-hand side. He's going to meet into with Bando. Oh, he takes him down very, very quickly though. So that's already wide open for them to try to take on a VGM. But unfortunately, Bayo is going to get revenged upon here by Bingsu. Now, where is the rest of Flash? How are they going to try to position this? Unfortunately, one member is just still outside on the blue zone. So there's only two people really that's just fighting against VGM at this point, and VGM conversely are still having control over the house here, and that's giving them a lot of cover here to work against Flash.
Yeah, VGM got a little bit greedy though. Shin has an opportunity. This is a 1v1 outside of the circle. Let's see if Shin can get this. Dan right in front of him pulls out a good glue wall, and Shin has got no glue walls to play around with, but just two medkits. This is an unfortunate situation, but Time Turner pulled out here. He tries to make use of his opponent's Time Turner, but Taklop turns around and assists Dan. This is just an unfortunate one for Shin because that was a 2v1 that he did not expect.
Was Shin just literally just dropped down early? Because I only saw I saw 0-0 in terms of health packs and glue walls there, so he was really fighting with not a lot of resources to work with to begin with. But nevertheless, with the Council Hall fully under control, VGM, they will be able to buy back the teammates. They will be able to loot whatever is left here before inevitably moving on to the next safe zone, which right now is looking a little bit crowded on the northern side. King of Gamers now actually bumping into MDH very soon, though King of Gamers, yep, they're still having a full stack. Only see 3 of their members right now trying to run up against MDH, who are still having control over Refinery here. So whatever approach King of Gamers wants to make, they're going to have to do it very, very carefully, because when you're up on top, especially the highest point here on Refinery, you can see everything and anyone who tries to get anywhere close to where your position is.
Let's see exactly what MDH can do here. This Refinery has given them so much of time to loot up, and once again, this is the main reason why I love this position, right? It also gives you that bird's eye view above and beyond everything else, so anybody that approaches your position can kind of just be fished out. But of course, that is dependent on whether or not you can get one of those snipers up there, maybe even a Groza for yourself to handle some of those mid to long range engagements. But it is mainly to the point where at the starting parts of the matchup, even up till the 10-minute mark, you don't really need to reposition. We are going to hit that pause on the matchup for just a little bit here, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, whilst we try to kind of sort out the situation in the background. But, you know, talking a little bit about the positioning out there on the battlefield, Refinery really gives you that advantage, but you need to know when to move as well. Because if the final circle does come and hunt for you, and you don't move off of those great big platforms on Refinery, and you have to hop on down, that fall damage gives you the perfect opener, or the opener for the rest of the teams to kind of take you out of the equation. So you really need to play your timing as well, and you really need to know the locations around you and watch that safe zone. In fact, I'm actually surprised that a lot of teams don't keep their eyes on the zone.
I know. I think like especially early on, I feel that a lot of teams feel that the blue zone doesn't do so much damage to the point that they are just prioritizing always to get to the safe zone. We tend to see a lot of teams, especially those that are a little bit behind on loot, you know, just take the opportunity of the early blue zone being like less painful to just try to take over zones that are just haven't been touched at all by other squads. So, but it goes to your point that, you know, it's all about getting the good loot, you know, especially early on, you know, when you know that the final fights are going to be very tight, very difficult to handle when you don't have the right tools in hand. So that's why I think like some of these teams kind of forego, you know, the safe zone until the blue zone gets a little bit too painful, especially to the mid to the late stage of the game. But I don't know, what do you think?
It's not my flavor, man. I think you know, the strategy in Free Fire is even a baby can figure it out very early on. You focus on your loots and you always focus on the circle, and not focus on the circle when the circle starts moving, but the moment you identify where that next safe zone is going to be, you already have to start plotting your pathway into this next circle. And it really is dependent on the map as to how you rotate around, right? Like Purgatory is a huge map. You need vehicles on your side. Kalahari is not as big, but you've got a lot of these vertical angles to play around with, and if someone else is on that vertical angle, doesn't give them the automatic advantage because it's easy to take a headshot from down bottom. So it's really dependent on how you try to maneuver around, but you have to start traveling early. Those that travel late always get caught out, and that's just something that we keep seeing round after round after round, regardless of how many tournaments we've kind of done.
I know, right? So that's kind of weird. In any case, looks like we're going to have to take a short break here, ladies and gentlemen. We'll be right back later on with the continuation of this match at Kalahari, so make sure you guys don't go away. We'll be right back after this.
The Snapdragon Pro Series powered by Samsung Galaxy is brought to you by Snapdragon Elite Gaming, Galaxy Z Fold 4, Monster Energy, and Kachi Shop.
Xin chào tất cả mọi người, và mình là Heavy Phú Đại, mình là đội trưởng của team Heavy hiện tại. Vị trí của mình là con tem. Thật sự thì hai vòng đấu vừa rồi đối với mình cũng khá là bất ngờ, tại vì bọn mình đã nằm ở top hơi không được cao ở vòng bảng ở ngoài, nhưng mà vô chung kết anh em làm khá tốt và dẫn đến top 1 đầu bảng. Lúc đó thì bọn mình hơi bị xúc động. Bọn mình thường thì team mình có truyền thống từ trước tới giờ rồi, nói chung là bọn mình đặt cái mục tiêu là điểm top sẽ cao hơn điểm kill, nên bọn mình sẽ ưu tiên việc vào bỏ trước. Vòng bảng thì mình chỉ đặt mục tiêu là tấm vé để vào vòng tiếp theo thôi, nên bọn mình thường sẽ không bắn hết chiến thuật cũng như là không tung hết bài ra, để khi chung kết mình sẽ làm cho đối thủ gọi là nó bất ngờ, không thể nào mà có những cái chiến thuật để có thể khắc phục được team mình. Bọn mình thường xem lại những trận đấu mà bọn mình đã từng tham gia và rút ra được nhiều kinh nghiệm và nhiều bài học để chuẩn bị cho vòng trong. Thật sự thì mình đang tập luyện rất là nhiều, tại vì mình cũng không thể tiết lộ được. Thật sự thì Free Fire này từ trước đến giờ thì người ta hay nói là người Thái họ thống trị hết tất cả, nhưng mà đợt này bọn mình sẽ thay đổi điều đó. Tất cả các team Việt Nam sẽ cố gắng thay đổi điều đó. Mình xin chúc cho các team tham gia đợt này thi đấu có một ngày thi đấu cực kỳ cháy nhất.
Xin chào, mình là MDS trưởng lão và vị trí của mình là quản lý của đội hình MDS Esports. Mình đến từ region Việt Nam. Thực tế thì đây cũng là một giải nó không thực sự dễ dàng so với là mùa trước. Thì ở trong những cái tuần đầu tiên thì đã có những cái sự khó khăn nhất định đến với MDS. Nó hiện thực ngay trên những cái kết quả mà đã xuất hiện ở trong những cái tuần đầu. Nhưng mà những tuần tiếp theo thì gần như là đội hình của mình đã tìm lại được phong độ và bắt đầu là ổn định ở khu vực top trên. Và về vòng cuối cũng đạt tương đối nhiều khó khăn, nhưng mà những cái thời khắc mà kiểu dạng cam go nhất thì MDS vẫn có cơ hội để bứt phá lên được. Thứ nhất là phải nói về bản lĩnh các em trong cái giải đấu này thì nó mặc dù là phong độ tương đối phập phù, nhưng mà ở những cái thời khắc quan trọng thì mọi người vẫn giữ vững được cái bản lĩnh của mình. Hơn nữa là đã có một chút liên quan tới may mắn, tại vì là chúng ta đã biết rồi, để cái tựa game survival như thế này thì chắc chắn là cái yếu tố may mắn là cái yếu tố luôn luôn cần phải có trong mỗi trận đấu. Và thực sự là cái top 3 cũng chưa phải là cái kết quả mà mình đã đặt ra cái KPI ban đầu, tại vì mình đang hướng tới đó chính là một chức vô địch, nhưng mà là cái chức ngôi đầu bảng. Nhưng mà rất là đáng tiếc là nó chỉ dừng lại ở top 3 thôi. Nhưng dù sao mình vẫn đã có vé để có thể là vào được vòng tiếp theo. Nếu mà để nói thì thực sự là khiến mình để tâm ấn tượng cũng như là nhiều nhất ấy, thì mình nghĩ là Nigma Galaxy. Thì đây là một trong cái thương hiệu esports mà nó mới nổi lên gần đây và gần như nó gây ra bão tố cho rất nhiều cái tựa game, không riêng gì Free Fire. Và mình cũng đang rất ngóng chờ cái màn đối đầu của các em MDS của mình đối đầu với cả Nigma Galaxy. Đây là một trong những cái tên mà mình chắc chắn sẽ để tâm trong vòng 18 đội thời điểm sắp tới. Thực ra bây giờ bảo gửi tới các đối thủ thì thực sự là từ trước đến nay thì khu vực Việt Nam nó vẫn chưa bao giờ được là một cái khu vực mà gì ấy nó quá là ghê gớm ở trong cái bộ môn Free Fire này, nên mình là bây giờ mình nói chút điều gì nó sẽ là tương đối là hơi nổ hay là hơi ngoa, nhưng mà thực sự là chắc là chúc tất cả các bạn sẽ đều thành công trong vòng 18 đội sắp tới và hãy cẩn thận đến MDS Esports vì bọn mình rất là nguy hiểm.
Superman.
Kekuatan Superman.
Kekuatan Superman.
เอาพลังซูเปอร์แมนดีกว่า
Iron Man
ผมอยากเป็นซูเปอร์แมนเกงลิงสีแดงไงพี่เนี่ย
มึงไม่คิดบินไม่คิดอะไรเลยมึงจะเอาเกงในมันเนี่ยนะ
Elon Musk. 1 week.
Elon Musk for a week
David Beckham
ผมเป็นคนรวยดีกว่า
ได้เป็นเดวิดแบ็คแฮม
เป็นเบคแฮมป่ะ
ไม่แค่มันหล่อตัดเลย
Nicki Minaj.
Justin Bieber. Justin Bieber.
Nicki Minaj
พอยกัตตินเนี่ยพี่อีกคนนึงผมไม่รู้จัก
Michael Jackson
APC
Michael Jackson.
PG
of course Michael Jackson
วิชี่ดีกว่า
ไมเคิลแจ็คสันครับเกิดไม่ทันอยากดูเขา
ไปกับเมสซี่ครับไปกับเลบอนครับผมไปกับเมสซี่
Play football with LeBron James. Skateboard with Messi.
play basket with Messi
อยากเล่นบอลกับเมสซี่ได้ไหมพี่อยากได้
Karaoke sama Adele
อเดลครับ
ไปเต้นดีกว่าครับเพราะว่านัว Blackpink
Blackpink. BTS.
ไม่น่าถามเลยพี่
โอ้
ต้องตอบแบบนี้แล้ว
ใช่ต้องแบ็คพิงอยู่แล้ว
Drop.
The Rock.
bertarung sama Shaquille O'Neal
White Shaq
Fight The Rock.
ผมก็เดอะล็อกดีกว่าสูสีกัน
bisa semua instrumen musik
bisa bicara berbagai bahasa
เข้าใจทุกภาษา
ผมเข้าใจทุกภาษาดีกว่าเข้าใจทุกภาษาครับผมเล่นดนตรี
ก็ถามใครเขาถามเนี่ยพี่
Shave your head.
cukur botak
shave my head bald
ยอมหัวร้านนะหัวร้านเท่ได้นะ
เสื้อผมซะ
ไม่ยอมหัวร้านเลยเหรอ
เขาเสื้อผมซะแค่นั้นแหละเป็นแข่งยิมทรงเดียวกันหมดเลย
Xin chào tất cả mọi người và mình là Heavy Phú Đại, mình là đội trưởng của team Heavy hiện tại. Vị trí của mình là con tem. Thật sự thì hai vòng đấu vừa rồi đối với mình cũng khá là bất ngờ, tại vì bọn mình đã nằm ở top hơi không được cao ở vòng bảng ở ngoài, nhưng mà vô chung kết anh em lại làm khá tốt và dẫn đến top 1 đầu bảng. Lúc đó thì bọn mình hơi bị xúc động. Bọn mình thường thì team mình có truyền thống từ trước tới giờ rồi, nói chung là bọn mình đặt cái mục tiêu là điểm top sẽ cao hơn điểm kill, nên bọn mình sẽ ưu tiên việc vào bo trước. Vòng bảng thì mình chỉ đặt mục tiêu là tấm vé để vào vòng tiếp theo thôi, nên bọn mình thường sẽ không bắn hết chiến thuật cũng như là không tung hết bài ra, để khi chung kết mình sẽ làm cho đối thủ gọi là nó bất ngờ, không thể nào mà có những cái chiến thuật để có thể khắc phục được team mình. Bọn mình thường xem lại những trận đấu mà bọn mình đã từng tham gia và rút ra được nhiều kinh nghiệm và nhiều bài học để chuẩn bị cho vòng trong. Thật sự thì mình đang tập luyện rất là nhiều, tại vì mình cũng không thể tiết lộ được. Thật sự thì Free Fire này từ trước đến giờ thì người ta hay nói là người Thái họ thống trị hết tất cả, nhưng mà đợt này bọn mình sẽ thay đổi điều đó. Tất cả các team Việt Nam sẽ cố gắng thay đổi điều đó. Mình xin chúc cho các team tham gia đợt này thi đấu có một ngày thi đấu cực kỳ cháy nhất.
Xin chào, mình là MDS trưởng lão và vị trí của mình là quản lý của đội hình MDS Esports. Mình đến từ region Việt Nam. Thực tế thì đây cũng là một giải nó không thực sự dễ dàng so với là mùa trước. Thì ở trong những cái tuần đầu tiên thì đã có những cái sự khó khăn nhất định đến với MDS. Nó hiện thực ngay trên những cái kết quả mà đã xuất hiện ở trong những cái tuần đầu. Nhưng mà những tuần tiếp theo thì gần như là đội hình của mình đã tìm lại được phong độ và bắt đầu là ổn định ở khu vực top trên. Và về vòng cuối cũng gặp tương đối nhiều khó khăn, nhưng mà những cái thời khắc mà kiểu dạng cam go nhất thì MDS vẫn có cơ hội để bứt phá lên được. Thứ nhất là phải nói về bản lĩnh các em trong cái giải đấu này thì nó mặc dù là phong độ tương đối phập phù, nhưng mà ở những cái thời khắc quan trọng thì mọi người vẫn giữ vững được cái bản lĩnh của mình. Hơn nữa là đã có một chút liên quan tới may mắn, tại vì là chúng ta đã biết rồi, để cái tựa game survival như thế này thì chắc chắn là cái yếu tố may mắn là cái yếu tố luôn luôn cần phải có trong mỗi trận đấu. Và thực sự là cái top 3 cũng chưa phải là cái kết quả mà mình đã đặt ra cái KPI ban đầu, tại vì mình đang hướng tới đó chính là một chức vô địch, nhưng mà là cái chức ngôi đầu bảng. Nhưng mà rất là đáng tiếc là nó chỉ dừng lại ở top 3 thôi. Nhưng dù sao mình vẫn đã có vé để có thể là vào được vòng tiếp theo. Nếu mà để nói thì thực sự là khiến mình để tâm ấn tượng cũng như là nhiều nhất ấy, thì mình nghĩ là Enigma Galaxy. Thì đây là một trong cái thương hiệu esports mà nó mới nổi lên gần đây và gần như nó gây ra bão tố cho rất nhiều cái tựa game, không riêng gì freefire. Và mình cũng đang rất ngóng chờ cái màn đối đầu của các em MDS của mình đối đầu với cả Enigma Galaxy. Đây là một trong những cái tên mà mình chắc chắn sẽ để tâm trong vòng 18 đội thời điểm sắp tới. Thực ra bây giờ bảo gửi tới các đối thủ thì thực sự là từ trước đến nay thì khu vực Việt Nam nó vẫn chưa bao giờ được là một cái khu vực mà gì ấy nó quá là ghê gớm ở trong cái bộ môn Free Fire này. Nên mình là bây giờ mình nói chút cái điều gì nó sẽ là tương đối là hơi nổ hay là hơi ngoa, nhưng mà thực sự là chắc là chúc tất cả các bạn đều thành công trong vòng 18 đội sắp tới. Và hãy cẩn thận đến MDS Esports vì bọn mình rất là nguy hiểm.
Superman. Kekuatan Superman.
Kekuatan Superman
เอาพลังซูเปอร์แมนดีกว่า
Iron Man
ผมอยากเป็นซูเปอร์แมนเกงลิงสีแดงไงพี่เนี่ย
มึงไม่คิดบินไม่คิดอะไรเลยพี่จะเอาเกงในมันเนี่ยนะ
Elon Musk one week
Elon Musk for a week
David Beckham
ผมเป็นคนรวยดีกว่า
ได้เป็นเดวิดแบ็คแฮม
เป็นเบคแฮมป่ะ
ไม่แค่มันหล่อตัดเลย
Nicki Minaj
จัสตินบีเบอร์
นี่คือไม่ได้
พอยกัตตินเนี่ยพี่อีกคนนึงผมไม่รู้จัก
Michael Jackson
RPC
ไมเคิลแจ็คสัน
PG
of course Michael Jackson
ริชี่ดีกว่า
ไมเคิลแจ็คสันครับเกิดไม่ทันอยากดูเขา
ไปกับเมสซี่ครับไปกับเลบอนครับผมไปกับเมสซี่
play football with LeBron James skateboard with Messi
play basket with Messi
อยากเล่นบอลกับเมสซี่ได้ไหมพี่อยากได้ คาร์โรแกรมมาเดล
เร็วครับ
ไปเต้นดีกว่าครับเพราะว่านัว
ยักษ์จริง Blackpink
Blackpink
BTS
Welcome back to the Snapdragon Pro Series powered by Samsung Galaxy. My name is AJ. I'm the Mustachio down here with the one and only Victor Gax. And we do apologize, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, for the abrupt stop to that matchup. Unfortunately, there are some technical issues in the background that we cannot avoid. We tried fixing them whilst we took that emergency break. Unfortunately, I regret to inform all of you that we could not sort it out. So we will have to cancel the rest of the matches for today and continue with them tomorrow and the following day on the last day. So we'll have 8 games tomorrow, Victor.
Yeah, 8 games. So, I mean, if you guys missed out on the action early on, you then have another chance to catch more action tomorrow. But again, I just feel so bad for the players, though, because, you know, they really, like, were hyping themselves up for this day. But then, unfortunately, the day got cut short. So now they only managed to play 3 matches. The next 3 matches are going to have to be postponed to tomorrow. So I think that kind of cuts a bit of like the momentum some of these teams are already kind of building today itself. So I kind of feel bad for the squads that are already doing well, like Gamers, you know, they
anxiety
even, they were kind of on the rise as well, you know, in this. So now they're going to have to, you know, at least they have a little bit of breather. They have a little bit more time, I think, to kind of prepare for tomorrow's matches. So I digress, you know, maybe they might be able to come back even stronger tomorrow. But nevertheless, though, we still will love to thank our sponsors for this event here, because the Snapdragon Pro Series would not have been possible without them. Starting off with Snapdragon themselves, they powered your phones. Now they're powering this very tournament itself. Snapdragon Elite Gaming, check them out. Their tagline is "When winning matters," and they will always keep giving opportunities to win, and as well as Samsung Galaxy joining us for the first time in Season 2, showing off their latest in smartphone technology by having the new release here, the Z Fold 4. Go ahead and check them out, because it might actually give you the opportunity to play just like the pros.
Absolutely, man. And they're not the only ones. We also have Monster Energy. You get to unleash the beast within you. Check out their website, www.monsterenergy.com/gaming. And of course, last but not least, Kachi Shop, where great deals and game top-ups are waiting for you. Don't forget to check them out if you ever do need some in-game currency.
Yeah, so again, so sorry for you guys there who were expecting more Free Fire matches after this, because the you know, we want to ensure a fair competitive platform for everyone. So, you know, if there are technical issues, some teams are experiencing issues worse than others. We have to make sure that everything is perfect before we allow them to continue. So with that said, you know, this is the end of the show for the day. So you know, we hope to be able to see you guys again tomorrow. Remember, we're going to be playing 8 matches instead of like the usual 6. So there's going to be a lot more for them to play for in essence. So in any case, yeah, that is going to be it for us today. My name is Victor Cax. His name is Musachio. Hopefully we'll see you guys again next time in the Snapdragon Pro Series, where we can continue this challenge group stage here, phase 2. So until then, good luck to you guys and good night.
The Snapdragon Pro Series, powered by Samsung Galaxy, is brought to you by Snapdragon Elite Gaming, Galaxy Z Fold 4, Monster Energy, and Kachi Shop.
Won't stop going till a player on top know it. Rooftop, penthouse suite. If you really want it, gotta own it. Fight through it, we was at the lowest. Blood, sweat, tears, the components. Riding all year, now's the moment. We are not friends, we are opponents. Yeah, I'm coming for mine. Yeah, I'm making a play, the game on the line. Yeah, I've been on the grind. Yeah, I jump in the spot, I made it my time. Yeah, look in the sky. Yeah, the stars align, no shade to shine. Can't stop it already. Emotional work and devotion, we put in this time. Look.